also appears to be.
There we go. I think now we.
Are we good now? Play it. Play it. Are we good? Let me go to the front. Can you guys hear anything? What's happening?
Yeah, I think it's working now. I think we're good.
Are we good, everybody?
I think we're good. I don't know. I should keep an eye on this. Like, this is a new thing, people.
This is brand new, guys. Bear with us.
Be some technical
we've got. I mean, first of all, it looks great.
Oh no! Here, like I heard us there. Oh man,
Like here?
Back.
Look at this. Yeah. Hey.
Live streaming is complicated. I haven't done this before. Well, I have done this before, but it's been a long, long time. So there's going to be some technical difficulties today. There's going to be some glitches. We're going to struggle through some things, but it's working. And
you know what? But life is a struggle, and this is what this is about.
Yeah. So the idea with this live stream is that we're doing the musical self-helpline. I guess it's not self-help. The Sean and Sammy G helpline.
That's right.
You guys share with us your problems, and we're going to do our absolute best to help you with them.
To solve them.
Yeah,
right?
we're going to try to put out some sage wisdom into the world. The way it's going to work is, leave us a comment. Let us know what you're struggling with. Anyone who's doing super chats, that's going to pop up to the top. And if you have like a long-winded thing that you really need to explain, there's a link that you can share, or a link you can use in the description.
That's right.
And, so music, personal, guitar.
Specifically personal ones. I feel like I'm, equipped to handle a lot of personal issues.
So why don't we start with Sean? Do you have any problems that you would like to?
Are we gonna start with my problems?
Yeah, we're gonna start with your problems.
We have time for this. All right. Here's something that I've got.
Okay.
For you specifically, I think you can help me with this. I feel like your bluesmanship has leveled up.
I've been bluesmanship.
Like your bluesmanship is top notch. Like it's always been pretty good.
Would you like to learn some bluesmaning?
I mean, it's not even just about the blues. It's like listen to that bluesmanship. There's a lot of feel.
Okay, so what's the problem here?
So my problem is that when I practice, I really just kind of practice my own stuff.
Okay.
Right? So like another genre, like what do you do? How do you go about?
I'll tell you exactly what I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I don't have a ton of time in my life to actually practice.
Yeah, you're a dad.
I'm a
like
dad.
you got a lot going on. You're a man about Winnipeg.
Yeah.
You get recognized everywhere we go.
It happens.
Shout out Max.
Shout out Max at the restaurant we went to last night.
Yep.
So if you're learning a new genre, I think the first thing you do is you listen to it a whole bunch. So you take some blues artists you like. You figure out who you actually want to sound like. And if it sounds really hard to do, then you kind of take a step back from them. So if you're like, I want to sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan, but this is really quite difficult, then you kind of figure out who did Stevie listen to. And usually as you go kind of further back, the generations of music often make it more complicated. So if you go back, who did Stevie listen to? Like your B.B. Kings, that's going to be maybe a bit more manageable at first to kind of learn some B.B. King stuff. And so what you do is you pick a solo you like, and you learn it note for note. And so this is what I've been doing for like 2 years with my blues stuff, is I'll find a solo, any solo, learn it note for note, learn it by ear. And this is like musical superfood because first of all, you're training your ear as you were learning this stuff. Second of all, you're developing like a more vocabulary as you pick up stuff from other people.
Okay.
And so as you spend, because you're not gonna be listening to this thing one time. You're gonna listen to it, like for me, it takes about an hour to get through 12 bars of a solo and to learn it where I can play it. So you learn it note for note, and then you learn how to play it like by memory. So it's just like in there. And so that would be hour one. Learn how to play it, figure it out.
Okay.
Hour two is then you take that stuff and then you play it without the song. So you can play it first alongside the song, and then second you would go and like put on a backing track and jam that solo that you just learned with that. And then step three would be like take that solo and then use that to inspire your own thing. So you're kind of going through 3 steps here.
Wow.
First step, learn how to play the solo along with the recording. Second step, play the solo without the recording, so just with a backing track. Third step, play the solo and then kind of twist it around to make it your own thing. And then those 3 steps, you repeat that, and you're just gonna learn a ton of stuff.
This is off the top of your head. What an answer.
Yeah, man.
that seemed
You're in
very
the right place.
well thought out. Yeah.
Okay, so that is my
Great.
my
That's the help that you've given me.
So let me say, what would be my musical problem that you could help me with?
Listen, whatever. What do you need help with?
Okay, so I think one of the things I have been struggling with, and so this is not directly like I'm having trouble playing this or that, but it would be more like I'm struggling putting things out into the world that are like really exciting musically, that aren't like YouTube related, just like an artistic thing. Like I'm not playing live and like getting that excitement out of it. So finding excitement, how do you find excitement in something that you've done many, many times, I guess? Like I've played a lot of music in my life,
sure,
but that same like thrill of doing it has dwindled. So what could I do to work on that?
I think do it in different ways. Kind of like you're working on some instrumental stuff, right? I think getting that online to let other people listen to you in different mediums, I think is good. You know, it's so easy to get your stuff out on Spotify or Apple Music or
like
or
do things
like
differently.
Yeah, and even like I think for you specifically, because you have so many like clips of like really good sounding stuff that you've used in your videos.
Yeah.
Put those up on Spotify for people to like add to TikTok videos, because even though they're not like I think we always think of it has to be a completed perfect idea to be shared. Like this is kind of not how it is nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of these like trending TikTok sounds are like not even complete songs. They're just clips.
There's like little jams.
They're
And so
not
like
perfect.
doing
They're
something
not,
that's different and looking at different mediums. It's good advice.
There it
Real
is,
good
you know?
advice. All right. Well, with that, should we get to some of these?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
What do we got?
Let's see.
We got a super chat. Don't
We got one fella here. First super chat of the day. Hello to Terrence Jones. He says, "Can you attempt some gospel shout guitar?" What's gospel shout guitar?
I don't know.
Should we try to attempt?
Sure, we just shout the gospel
without knowing.
Do you want me to look up a gospel thing?
I think we just gotta try it.
All right, I guess we just.
It's not really a musical problem that he's asking us, but you know, it's the first super chat.
This
so
is an attempt. What's the shouting key?
I would get like when I think gospel, I'm like. So just like G, B7, E minor, C, G. Sing about the good word of the Lord and Savior at this point?
I guess so. Do you know any gospel? Is this gospel shout? What is
I don't know. I actually don't.
You're gonna have to be more specific with that.
No, we're not doing requests. That's not the point of this.
This is a help hotline. You know, and if the gospel helps you, that's great. But
so hopefully that helped you. Okay, let's do some here. So
hopefully that helps a lot. GB7, E minor C.
Okay. Okay, well, hang on. We're going to start off with this was a guy who actually messaged me on Facebook. We're going to take one from Facebook to start off with. I'm also realizing what we really need to do is have a producer here who can, like, feed us stuff. Because, like, it's not great entertainment, me sitting here scrolling through.
I'm entertained just by watching you. And, you know, I'm entertaining myself by finger picking.
Yeah. So, again, to anyone who's just signed in, we're doing a musician's helpline. Helping people with their problems, the good people of YouTube. So leave us your problems and we're going to try to get to as many as we can. Personal, musical, guitar.
Is this the one you read me the other night?
Yeah.
This is a great one. This is a great problem. And I think...
So this is the first one of the day. Do you have anything to preface this? We already know what it is.
Sometimes we get a lot of weird requests being people on the internet. This is not one of them. This is actually a really good one, you know.
So this is this guy needs some help, and he opens this up by saying, "Samurai, can you help?" And then I have an auto response that replies to everybody on Facebook because I like to spend as little time as possible on Facebook. So I responded, "Thanks for contacting us. We've received your message and appreciate you reaching out." Again, like I'm not spending much time on Facebook if I can help it. But anyway, he says, "My mom isn't buying me an electric guitar.
It's messed up.
Can you make a video of you telling my mom to buy an electric guitar? I only have an acoustic and I really want to play an electric. It would be my first time playing an electric. My birthday is in June 17th. I don't know if you're going to chat." Well, Jean Ruin Resurrection, here we are chatting with you. We're here to encourage your mom to buy Jean an electric guitar. So he's clearly into this.
Sure.
He's gone out of his way to message somebody that he watches on YouTube. He's got some love for this, and one of the best things in life is a love for music.
Right.
You want to foster that in any way possible. And clearly, for him, the acoustic guitar, it's not quite cutting it. It's not doing what he wants to do.
No.
So I think it would be very healthy to continue his musical education if he were to, electric guitars are expensive though. So I don't know if maybe if it's buying him a guitar, if that's not necessarily a thing that's in the cards, maybe figuring out a situation where you can both save up money together, where it's like, hey, if Jean, you pay for a half of this, we'll cover the second half, type of thing.
Yeah, or do some chores.
Chores, yeah.
That's what I did.
What needs help around the house? Hey, you cook us a meal. Do you do the cleanup a bunch of times, and we'll get you an electric guitar if you keep on doing this. If your grades go up, hey, get an electric guitar.
When I was in high school, we had this real creepy basement in the house that we lived in, and I really wanted an Xbox. My mom was like, if you paint the stones in the basement, I'll buy you an Xbox. This is a big job. It's like a brick stone wall thing. I'm like, I could do this. But here's the thing, there weren't lights in the basement. So I did it by candlelight. And I thought this was
candlelight?
I thought this is like 2000 maybe. And I thought this was like kind of cheeky. Like I've got like this candle and I'm painting, right?
You don't have like a flashlight?
Well, I did, but I was like, a candle is funnier. A lot of what I do is sarcastic.
Funny to who? Just yourself?
Yeah. So I had this candle and I was painting, right? Turns out there was a gas leak in the basement and I could have died having an open flame because I was like, this is a weird smell. And then we had like a city gas man come by and he's like, wow, you got a real bad gas leak down here. And I was down there with a candle just painting. It could have been the end of me.
Did you get your Xbox? Was it worth it?
I did get my Xbox, and you should buy this kid a guitar.
Yeah,
so it doesn't burst into flames.
And John, if that is what you need to do, if it's chores, just make sure you're doing them in a safe environment.
Yeah.
So
that's I'll preface that. Preface all the advice we're giving.
All right, let's see what else we got here.
Okay, I can look at the chat too if I find some good ones.
Yeah, it's actually not the easiest thing to jump around here, but we're gonna do our best.
How bad did the paint job come out by candlelight? I thought it was pretty good. But I guess we still never got lights down there, so I could only really check it with I started using a flashlight after the gas leak,
Okay, so how about this one? Oh wait, that's not actually a question. He was just telling us a story.
Yeah.
How about, I remember this from when I used to live. Mm-hmm. This, getting through the chat is actually a bit of a mess.
Sure,
it jumps down. You're reading something and it jumps down.
Yeah, hate that.
Okay, this is Anthony Mascola. He says, I'm having trouble getting motivated to record. It's super difficult playing everything alone. So I guess he's recording by himself all the parts.
I feel that, yeah. I hear you on that.
So maybe a bigger question is, how do you deal with the motivation to do something? How do you stay motivated? What advice would you have for staying motivated?
For staying motivated, it's just you just get into a routine where you have no other choice. Mm-hmm. I upload a lot, and I'm lucky enough where I've been able to drag sponsors into my little shiesty whatever it is that I'm doing. So I have to do it all the time. I think here's my advice for recording, right? Especially because it's someone who plays all the instruments myself most of the time anyways. If you can't find a collaboration partner, learn to master a drum machine. I feel like this has been something that's really helpful for me. Whether it's an analog drum machine or it's a piece of software, it's so much easier to lock into a drum track on other instruments. Even if you end up replacing that in the end, if it's not something you use, it just, I feel I write better when I'm locked into time, which is essentially kind of how a band practice do. You have a drummer start grooving, everybody kind of locks into it. So having a drum machine or something to give you a beat that you can be all right, I'm
yeah, because then you're grooving, then you're having fun. As soon as you start playing with something, that's usually what I do first. I don't record drums first. I don't record guitar first.
Sure.
I get my drums going, whatever that looks like, and then at least I have something to play along with. Even if I'm going to change the drums in the future, it's just now I can actually start having fun versus trying to just perfectly play my guitar to the metronome or whatever.
Yep. And what I used to do is I used to just draw a MIDI drum pattern. But even then, like that's like I'm not motivated to do that. It's like, man, I gotta build this stupid thing. But if you use a drum machine specifically,
just put it on a loop, like
yeah, it can, and you can just kind of randomly hit stuff, and it's something that you might not normally do. Like I like those Electron ones, which you can actually get at Sweetwater. That's a great thing to get through
Sweetwater's one of the sponsors of the show.
Affiliate link in there. The Electron stuff, Arturia makes a really cool drum brute machine. It's really dope because you just press a button and it's like you got a new sequence.
I think we're a little sidetracked from the initial question. Motivation.
Yeah, motivation.
You know what I think? Like, a big thing is, so I put out a lot of stuff. Often, like, a video a week. Like, I'm putting things out regularly.
Yeah.
And more often than not, like, when I'm about to start working on a video, I'm not super excited about it. It's actually, like, the hardest thing is getting the ball rolling. But I just force myself to start, and then the motivation kind of comes with that. Once things are going, when I've got, like, the idea fleshed out and I've started, like, putting the pieces together, I've shot a little bit of stuff, that's when I'm now more motivated to work on it. It's actually, like, harder, I find, to motivate yourself right at the beginning than when it's already going. So my advice is you just start doing it and let the motivation kind of rise as the snowball of the whole thing starts going. So you just start it. Just force yourself to start. Force yourself to get over that first hurdle. And then for me, at least, it's always a little bit easier once the ball is already going.
It's just like lighting a little match and lighting your candlelight down in the basement. That's how it starts. The open flame.
Exactly.
There you go.
Okay, well, let's... Oh, man. See, like, this is what I'm talking about. I'm trying to do the chat here, and it's, like, getting frozen at the bottom.
YouTube, come on.
So, again, what we're doing here today, if you're new here, we're doing the Musicians Helpline. Share with us your problems, personal, musical, guitar-based, and we're going to do our best to solve them. Super chats, getting prioritized. That's it. Phoenix Studios asks, is Samurai Jenny free to read the chat? No, she is not. She is with the two kids, taking them for a swim.
Doing God's work.
Yeah. So I know. We're this is a new thing here. We're working this out. We're trying something new here.
Yep.
Okay. Julian Fragoso says, Samurai, please help. I learned guitar to get ladies, but it hasn't worked. Help make this work. This is the kind of question we were hoping for.
You came to the right place.
So the question again is, how do I use my guitar to get the ladies? It's not working. We're gonna default to Sean here, and I'll give you my opinions because we have a bit of a different thoughts on this. So
sure.
what would you say for to Julian, who's trying to get the ladies with his guitar?
I think you have to diagnose first why it's not working, why you think it's not working, and sometimes you may not be able to answer this.
More questions.
You may not be able to answer this question yourself. Sometimes you need a friend to be like, why is this guitar not working? Are you playing like deep catalog periphery on your guitar?
Yeah.
Because that's not gonna help. You know what I mean? Like that's just not gonna work. I'm sorry. Like you have to kind of go where the people are going. So learn some pop songs. Maybe that'll help. If you get out there, I have found that being able to jump into whatever with the singer has been a great move, right?
Yeah, like knowing the songs that people want to hear is a huge thing. I would also say that your guitar is not the thing that gets you the girl. The guitar maybe can provide a opening to start a conversation, or if you are like things are already rolling a little bit and the guitar comes into the equation, it can be a thing that kind of boosts things up a little bit. But if you're just like, I'm going to play the guitar and girls are going to love me, yeah, it doesn't work like that. It's a support system to the general personality and everything you bring to the equation.
Yeah, and some girls are attracted to just a guitar player, which is cool. But it has way more utility and value if you can play a song that a singer might be able to sing with you, and maybe she's a singer. All girls love to sing, right? They love to dance, they love to sing, learn some upbeat stuff. I got to say, like, I'm a big Elliott Smith fan, and those are people see that as like sad music. I can't say that music has performed especially well for me. But, learning some Shawn Mendes songs has done wonders.
I would say the only times... so for me, my guitar has been very much like I've been either dating someone or whatever, and then they know I'm a musician, and that's like interesting to them. And it goes deeper than just like, oh, he plays guitar. Wow. The only time that's ever kind of been a thing was when I used to play country cover shows. And it would be like a packed venue. And we'd be on stage, and almost every single time there'd be like a girl in the front row just like staring at me.
There we go, yeah.
But I think a lot of that, it has to do with like being you're on a higher level than everyone else. You're literally on a stage higher than everyone else. You're the center of attention, and everyone is kind of looking at you, and it's more of that thing than necessarily the guitar. The guitar's part of it.
It got you.
In those situations, yeah, like the girls would like at the set breaks, they would like give me their phone numbers, and I mean, yeah, I'd never called any of them because I was like probably they're probably like 18 or 19, and I was like 30, and also it's just a weird power dynamic. But
sure.
My point, I think the general takeaway here is use the guitar as an assist, not as the thing.
And learn the songs that are in the genres of maybe the girls you'd like to start hanging out with.
Yeah, I had one here. Here, keep talking while I try to find that.
There you go. Good. I'll just keep
it jumped down. I had it queued
talking.
up and then it jumped down.
Open mic nights. Open mic nights are great. There's so many girls out there that want to sing. It's like, hey, like I'm doing an open mic night. Do you want to come with? And it's like, oh, I don't know. I'm kind of nervous. Be like, hey, listen, stakes are low. Like, what are you gonna fail at an open mic night? No one's gonna make fun of you at open mic night. That's just kind of like what it is.
Great place to network and meet people too.
Great place to network. I've done tons of open mic nights. I'll still go do an open mic night if the opportunity arises. But yeah, do that. Get a little set list. It's you can do it with open chords. It doesn't have to be something super intricate or fancy.
Have you ever turned your music into a relationship of some sort? When you were say pre YouTube, like say you're just like I don't know, like 18, 19, 16,
sure, yeah,
17.
oh yeah. I would say pretty much every relationship I've had has leaned heavy on the musician component in one way or another. Maybe all of them except for one. So yes, I have. And again, usually it's just a foot in the door. That's the main thing.
Okay, so the next problem that this fellow is having, Ethan Shelton says, "Hey Sammy, every time I sit down to write a new song, I always get writer's block and I can't get anything out. What are some ways to fix that? You got a writer's block tip?" I got one good one, but
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
That's 100% it.
How? Like, how do you use that?
What are you? Oh my gosh, you haven't used this yet?
No, I'll tell you how I use ChatGPT.
Oh my gosh, ChatGPT. Seriously, whatever it is, you're writing a song. Think of a situation.
No, but I think his problem is he sits down to write and nothing comes out.
Sure,
Which I would say is your first problem.
Right, because starting it, and listen, I've had this experience many, many times, because starting a song is the hardest thing. Now, you might have an idea of what you want, like an emotion. It's like, all right, these chords are inspiring a situation, right? Think of a situation. It doesn't even have to be that interesting. Think of a unique situation that has happened to you in the last few months. Something that's kind of fresh.
I was on a pontoon boat.
Sure, great. Go to ChatGPT and be like, write me a song in the style of Chet Atkins about life on a pontoon boat. And ChatGPT will write you a song. And it'll probably be bad. But here's the thing, it's like, you see it as a structure, and then you edit it, and you change stuff.
Yeah, the human element.
Because it starts it for you, and that's the best part about ChatGPT, is like, it starts something and it has a finished thing for you. Is it good? It's probably not good, but it's like, there it is. It's like, okay, this is a place to start from. And that eliminates writer's block.
Okay, While I go on my little tangent, do you want to find another comment?
Yeah, for sure.
I think there's a super chat in there we got to get to as well.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so here's I think the problem is you're saying when I go down to write a song, I have writer's block. I think that's the first issue. Like I spent a lot of time writing songs. That was the direction I thought my life was going. But it's not about you're not like going through your life. Oh, I'm going grocery shopping. Oh, I'm doing my job. Okay, now it's time to write songs. And then you sit there and say, okay, what do? I got nothing. When you're like a writer, what you want to do is you want to go through the entire world wearing writer's glasses. You want to see the world as a songwriter. You want to have like a passive receptor, like an antenna that's always picking things up. And so all throughout your day, you're just kind of passively training yourself to pick up on ideas wherever they are in the world. It can be a street sign you can see. It can be something that happened to you at the grocery store and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And this is the artist lens you got to see the world from. You're not always just sitting there thinking, song, where's the song? Mm-hmm. Let me find a song. But you're just slowly training yourself to always be willing to receive those ideas. And then when something cool triggers that thing, when it hits the radar, you jot it down on your phone or whatever. And then when you go to sit down, you pull up that list of things and say, hey, all these cool things that are potential song ideas, kind of came to me. It could be a melody that you just came up with, or you sung into your phone. You heard something on the radio and you're like, oh man, I love this melody. I'm just going to quickly sing it into my phone and see if I can tweak that when I go home. So the point is you have all these ideas at your disposal so that when it is time to sit down and write, you're not just sitting there and going, okay, time to write.
There you go.
What do I do? Rather, you sit there and you're like, okay, it's time to write, time to pull up all these things I've been excited about over the last however long, and I can start accessing and trying to tweak those into things. So that would be my tip, is really train yourself to passively receive ideas and create like a wealth of them so that you can access them whenever you go down to...
And then put that in ChatGPT.
And then put it into ChatGPT.
All right, we got PT Hello says...
PT.
What is your ratio of started to finished tracks? And the full question is, how many songs do you start and not finish because you realize the foundational idea is not solid enough to bother finishing? How can you tell if an idea is worth pursuing to completion?
I'll start on this one, and you can follow it up, and I'll find the next one. Mm-hmm. And by the way, what we're doing here, Musicians Helpline, share with us your problems. Musical, personal, guitar-based, share us with your problems. We'll try to help you out. Super chats getting prioritized. Mm-hmm. Okay, so ratio of started to finish songs in my life. Let's not right now, because anything I start I really try to finish because I just have a limited time to do it. But when I was writing songs, I would try as hard as I could to finish most of them. I would try to get the song done on the day that I get inspired to do it. And so I'd say 90% of the time I would finish a song. So I would write it as long as the inspiration was coming, and if I would just try to get something out, whatever it is. And then even if I'm struggling with a part, I would just try to get something out so that if I wanted to, I could play the song all the way through and it was a finished song. Now, the amount of songs that I then took and rewrote and perfected to the point where I'm like, this is my version of a song that I'm proud of, in which case I would consider that a finished song. The amount of songs that went from idea to the point where I'm either performing them or pitching them or doing something with them where it's done in my books and good enough, maybe 1 out of 10. But I was really in the world of writing mainstream songs that had pop appeal. So there's a saying amongst the circles I would work in, a great song isn't written, it's rewritten. And so you get your inspiration and then you just tweak it and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. And you keep on working it until it gets to the point where it is actually really polished and refined and perfected. And the amount of songs I would stay excited about that would follow that all the way through would be 1 in 10. Because at some point I'd be you know what? I'm not super thrilled about this anymore. This doesn't quite have it. And you kind of got to get over that first initial inspiration where you're excited about it and everything sounds amazing. Because everyone's I'm starting on this thing. I'm an hour into this. Is the greatest song that's ever been written. And then you come to it when you kind of come down a little bit and you're oh wait, it actually sucks. But if you still have that same kind of feeling, wow, this is really good, and you have that after hour 2, after hour 3, after coming back at it a week later, then it's I'm onto something. I want to really put all the effort into this. Great. I think the best song I ever wrote took me 2 years to write. Wow. And it wasn't just working on it every day for 2 years or anything. It's I wrote the first one, and I was this is a cool song, and then I got somebody to help me out with it, or I showed it to someone. They're hey, maybe look at this, this isn't as good. And I went back and changed those things, and I rewrote a verse, and then it got to the point where I'm I want to make sure that the best part of the song, everything is the best part. And I could tell the chorus is the best, but this is not as good. Or this line is really good and nothing else is good. I tried to make everything as good as the best parts and everything work together. And that took a long time to flesh that one out. So what was the second part of it? Does that answer?
Yeah, I think you answered his question.
Yeah, okay.
I would say that I have a slightly different philosophy. Again, you coming from a pop world. Are we good on the camera thing? The monitor just turned off. Are we still good with whatever?
Yeah, I think it's just
okay. Cool. Yeah. So you say how you kind of you think the best songs are rewritten, and that's kind of a very pop writer's room kind of philosophy. I do want to make a distinction between a musical idea and a song.
Yeah.
If we're talking about how many musical ideas become finished, it's probably 50 to 1. I've got so many things oh, this sounds cool. I'm gonna make a voice memo. There are hundreds of those on my phone that I'm never even probably gonna listen to again. Now, I think of the starting of a song being all right, I've got some lyrics and a melody over chord progression or something like that. And with that, I would say maybe it's more 5 to 1 what gets recorded or what gets finished, written. Because I kind of feel, coming from an indie background, I'm I'm really going to try super hard to finish it in the moment that I'm inspired. Because if I write what I consider as a good song for myself, it happens pretty quick. And there are exceptions where it takes me a few years to kind of like really rewrite
the whole thing.
It's
different depending what your goals are with your music. It's gonna be very different.
Yeah, so I would say maybe once I have an idea of where it's going, maybe it's 5-1 unfinished and finished, and then when it's finished, if I end up actually like recording it and releasing it, maybe it's like 5-1 again. But I think you really have to like push yourself to finish it, and again, finish doesn't mean like just like having the full amount of what's written to be edited or rewritten in the moment that you're beginning it. Because I know for a fact if I don't finish it while I'm kind of like first inspired to do it, I'm not going to come back.
Yeah, catch as much of the inspiration as you possibly can. Okay, I got another one here. How do you deal with loving a genre? This is by Ross, by the way. And again, Musicians Helpline here. We're share with us your problems. We'll do our best to solve them.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with loving a genre most people just aren't into? I want to pour my heart, or I want to pour into bluegrass, but most people just aren't into it as I am. So.
Oh, really? I mean, that's a pretty popular genre, I think. Maybe you need a different circle of friends. Is what you need, because bluegrass is great. There's a huge community of bluegrass.
There certainly is a niche community of it, but it's not like I know one person who's into bluegrass.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Do you know like some bluegrass guys?
I know some bluegrass guys for sure. So, like, your issue is you want to pour your heart into it, but you're not getting the same enthusiasm for that type of music. I think it's finding real ones, which that's almost a personal life question. Like, how do you find your people? Like, now it's like so easy to connect with other people. Follow some bluegrass Instagram accounts, maybe some like forums.
Find out where people hang out and like try to find your fellow bluegrass friends. And I think maybe first and foremost is you make it for yourself first. Like, unless you're like being like, I need to desperately make some money out of this, like, don't approach this whole thing with that mentality.
Sure.
Make it first and foremost for yourself, and the more you do that, like, you will try to seek out people who are also doing that, and there are definitely communities of that. And then even if you're finding it a hard time doing that, like, there's places where you could probably place bluegrass and people would enjoy it, even if it's not typically what they would listen to. So like places that might have like a coffee house wouldn't be a typical place you go and hear bluegrass, but an acoustic guitar playing some bluegrass and a guy singing bluegrass is going to fit if you want to play live there.
That's a great community too, for that people really connect with each other. So again, depending on where you are in like your living situation, one of the most inspiring things that I do is see live music. So go to a bluegrass festival if you have the means to do so. And also just Google like bluegrass jams near me, because bluegrass jams are like actually a thing. And that doesn't mean you have to play at the jam. You can just go and just see other people that like it. Every city that I've ever lived in has a bluegrass jam, if not many. And I haven't always lived in like, big cities and stuff like that. So
yeah,
get creative about finding
you gotta find it. When I used to play at the hospital, like one of my summer jobs was playing guitar at a hospital, and like that was a place where it wasn't like I was playing in the ER where someone's getting operated on and like just shredding Doc Watson or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it was more like people who actually like lived there. It was kind of the last place they would live, and soothing music or just acoustic music in general is something that they quite enjoyed. So it didn't always have to be like mellow chill music, but like playing some bluegrass riffs, like people loved that.
Mm-hmm. And manipulate your gullible friends into liking bluegrass. That's another thing. String them along. If you have an open-minded friend, be like, oh, you know what's really cool? Shaky Graves, right? And then slowly but surely you like switch them over to Bela Fleck. And just play the
Bela Fleck's amazing.
Yeah. Is it Bela Fleck?
Yeah, I think it's Bela.
I've been saying. See, I'm a bluegrass player.
I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Bela, but this one comes from Mozenator25. Man like Mozo is the YouTube username, and he says, how do you move on from a failed relationship with someone you truly love? Hey, we asked for personal, we asked for musical, we asked for guitar.
Man.
We're doing a personal one.
Man.
Sean?
You gotta lean on your friends, that's for sure. And you gotta keep yourself busy. Right? It depends, this is very dependent upon the person.
What have I just done?
Uh-oh. What do we got?
Did we just die? What the hell?
Oh no, what happened? Right with the most fire. We're back on. We're about to give some fire advice right there.
Sorry guys.
any second now.
Okay, any second.
We might be back actually already, and we're just catching.
Yeah, it's delayed, but we're back. Okay, well maybe let's just. It's gonna pop up any second. I like to think. How long was it out for? Oh my god.
Oh man.
Oh my god. Now we're back.
There we go.
So
All right. Okay, so lean on your friends. Be easy on yourself. Like,
wait. Okay. Well, you had a little break there.
Right.
So what we're at. Some guy was asking how he moves on from a relationship with someone that he really loved.
I feel like it's gonna take time. You got to be easy on yourself. Allow yourself to feel emotions. Allow yourself to feel down, but try to avoid habits that keep you down. Right. Like what you're trying to reset like the dopamine levels in your brain essentially and not think about it. So that's why leaning on your friends, getting out and just doing something, making yourself do stuff, being outside, working on your diet, working on yourself,
you ever
exercising.
go through a pretty tough one?
Oh yeah, of course. I've been heartbroken.
Yeah, but if you hit like okay, well here's I think a really good thing that's worth remembering. So I'm 36. I went through like one pretty big bad one. Mm-hmm. I think everyone will say that. Oh, everybody goes through that. It's just a thing you got to go through in your life. And if you don't go through it in your life, you haven't really experienced the full range of human emotions. And I guess I don't think I could be the person I am today if I hadn't gone through like the tough times as well. So kind of reminding yourself of that this is something that it actually is important to go through these types of things is a big thing. And then being aware that it first of all, just telling yourself this won't last forever. It won't. No matter how bad it is, it won't last forever. But also, like, being aware of that and just trying not to make decisions that you think you're going to regret in the future around the strong emotions that you're feeling. So don't make decisions that are going to be irreversible. Maybe just force yourself to try to do healthy things, even if it isn't fun to do it, even if you don't really want to do it. And then remember, like, maybe there's actually some things that all those things, because no matter what relationship you're in, there's some things that you probably wanted to do during it that you weren't able to do. Maybe go and do those things.
Yeah.
So like one girl I dated once didn't like long hair and beards. So like the first thing I did when I grew it out, the first thing I did when I was over in my heartbroken state was like, I'm growing my hair out and I'm getting a beard. Still have it. Actually, no, I cut it off once. But
sure. But yeah, it's tough. Like I said, it's tough. Different people can deal with it different ways. Like for me, I'm a very competitive person. So, I let myself feel like upset and angry about it. And I use that to kind of like fuel the bettering of myself. Yeah. Fuel.
I kind of did that too. Like when I was going through that, I was at the bottom too. Like I had no YouTube channel. I had no following. Was like pretty fresh out of college or at the tail end of college. And I just had nothing going for me, and I was a late bloomer as was. So like all my friends were like getting married and doing this, buying houses. I'm like, I got nothing going for me. But I used that as kind of like motivation to do the music thing. I really found motivation through that, and to be a better person through that. And so try to do positive things with it. It sucks. It won't last forever. No matter what you're going through, it won't last forever. We got a super chat here.
Hey.
And he asks. I play on time with the looper. With the metronome, I play more robotic but on time. Then when I start recording to the DAW, 3 layers down, it's a rhythmic cacophony. What am I doing wrong? Well, so he's just... Well, I would say that, like, I think you're probably not as close as you think you are with the metronome. Mm-hmm. Because if you were bang on with a metronome or bang on with a looper, it would stay that way. So I think one of the things I would do is... I would really put this to the test because he has a computer available. Right. So I would get the metronome going, I would play along with it, and then I would get the grid up and I would actually like look and see between those notes is like everything actually in time. And you like see it, like is my transient, my hit, is it actually like halfway between these two metronome hits? And like your grid will be able to show you that.
You can see it, yeah.
Is it as close as I actually think it is? Or is everything actually a little bit ahead? Because you might at first think that it's in time, but then you look closer and you're like, oh wait, everything's a little bit ahead. And then if you do that a couple layers down and everything starts ahead and then you just have a tendency to go ahead, it might sound decent at first, but 3 layers down when everything's kind of moved ahead, it's going to sound like a rhythmic cacophony.
Here's the best advice you're going to get. Don't ever record to a metronome. Recording to a metronome is not going to help you lock in. Oh. Maybe you'll lock into a downbeat, But it's what happens after there is where it's getting, like, I bet your downbeats are actually, if you do his advice and look, I bet your 1 is probably on it. Because if you can rock a looper pedal, that means your 1 is on it. But the thing about a looper pedal is everything else after the 1 can be off and you're not gonna notice. So if you're recording to a metronome, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're, maybe this is like the thing, the metronome is 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, maybe like the downbeats are on, but it's like, all right, this is the beat. What's the vibe in this? Make a drum beat out of that. Okay, so this is your metronome. So you got to be able to build a drum beat on that, even if there's not drums in the song. This is your new metronome. Kick, snare, kick, snare,
and then when
kick, snare. And that dynamic, it's like that steady 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So if you can make that track that you're recording to busier, you'll find yourself locking into every single 8th note in the progression, right? Because it's just one.
Yeah,
there's so much space for you to fall out of time. But if this is your click track, you'll lock in a lot easier, and then you can like add layers to it, and then you'll find that it's a lot better. That's about it. Don't record to a metronome. I feel like my timing is actually pretty good, and if I just record to a quarter note metronome, I would get off too. You know, that's why you gotta lock in drum tracks. Make your own.
You start with your drum track, and then it should be locked up, and then you listen to the drum track.
Yeah, your drum track is your metronome. You might not even use the drum track. You just lock in, get your guitar part down, then erase the drum track, and then sync to that.
Nicholas Nowlin asks, how do you recover from a bad show? So he had a bad show, and it's shaking him up.
Yeah.
Everyone's had a bad show. I've had a bad show.
Of course.
What's your worst show? Oh, you told me your worst show.
I mean, I've had, the New Year's one.
You want to tell them about your New Year's show?
You want me to tell the New Year's show again?
Yeah.
All right, so this was New Year's 20...
And how you then recovered from it.
Okay, all right, yeah, great. So this is a marathon gig. This was a New Year's Eve gig, which is a great night for musicians. Generally, it's the best paying night of the year for live shows and stuff like that. So I was playing I believe it was a 6-hour gig, 6-hour set, 6 p.m. to midnight, downtown Sarasota on New Year's Eve. So it's like, whew, all right, shaking off, getting loose, getting ready. Feeling pretty good, but it's a daunting amount of time to be playing live music. You know, we'd get a couple breaks and stuff like that. We started playing, and as me and my singer Kindred, and again, annoying alert, we're both vegan, right? I'm not pushy about it, but we are both vegan. It's important for the story. They had us locked into the bed. We had like this tiny little space where we were performing the entire night. Very upscale restaurant called Element, downtown SRQ. And the servers would be walking right in front of us to get by because we were kind of in their way. It's the only place they could put us. So we're in their way. The very first, like the third song of the night maybe, the server is pushing this giant table across, and it's one of those roasted pigs with like an apple in its mouth and like its eyeballs are like, and it was like, even for me, I'm not like triggered easily by non-vegan stuff, but even I was like, oh boy. Now my singer on the other hand is very like bleeding heart about it, so she saw it and she just checked out, like instant catatonic. So it was like third song into a 6-hour set and my singer was toasted. She was gone. I was like, oh no, right? So it was like that, and then the combination of whenever someone would open the door, because they had us close to the door, we were right by where the DJ was in the downtown street where they do like the ball drop thing. So the DJ's playing this like real heavy like 4 on the floor dance music, getting people hyped, whereas like we're doing kind of like this like Norah Jones jazzy thing like all night, and like the sub would just hit me every time over and over again. But you know, we've played many shows, so
that's it.
We rallied.
Many shows.
Exactly.
And so you're not like, if you only play one show a year and it goes terribly, that's gonna haunt you. But if you just the more you do it, you're like, oh well, that one sucked, but I've done enough good ones. I'm not gonna let this one rattle me, and I have another one coming up next week. So let's learn from our mistakes and make it better. You just gotta keep putting yourself out there, keep doing it, and then when you screw up and it's not great, it's the same thing with YouTube too. If like a video of mine doesn't do well, and I'm like bummed out about it, it's like, well, I'm getting back on the horse next. Hopefully the next one does it. But if I put out one video a year and that flops, it's like, well, there goes my year.
And also, the thing to remember, especially with like bad live shows, is that nobody cares.
Yeah, it's probably way worse for you. I've heard recordings of shows that I thought were bad. Yeah. I'm like, oh, like I thought I played terribly. And I heard the solo. I'm like, oh, actually that was way better than I thought it was.
Yeah. The audience probably can't even hear you.
Yeah, it's probably...
Stakes are probably low for whatever gig it is we're playing. So it's like nobody cares. Nobody's going to remember but you. So on to the next one.
Okay, we're doing Musicians Helpline. Share with us your problems, music, personal, guitar. We're going to try our best to help you guys out. Super Chat's getting prioritized. So if you really have something you want answered, I don't know, chuck $2 out there or whatever. And
crypto advice. We're here for the crypto advice, you know?
Fresh D wants to know, how do you lose the fear? He wants to know how to lose the fear of his own talent and style.
Man, that's all. You're talking to the right guys.
He's so scared of how good he is. He needs to work on.
I like this guy. Who's this?
It's Fresh D.
Fresh D. Dude, first of all, it's like sometimes you got to realize like not everyone in this world is meant to be as fresh as you are.
When you're so good, it frightens you. What do you do? I gotta think he meant something different than we're interpreting this, but...
I don't think so. No? I think we're interpreting Fresh D correctly. I think what it is just to realize that you were put on Earth for a reason, and that's not to intimidate people with your style.
It's to share your God's given gift.
That's exactly
it. Embrace it.
Right?
Lean into it.
Don't be scared of that, because this is what you're here to do.
You're that good.
Yeah, so do your thing.
You've already scared yourself with how good you are. Like, that's an emotion that most people don't feel, so you're
right?
onto something.
Yeah.
Get out there and crush it. Okay, this one comes from the Google Forums. This is from Jack's Man Cave. He says, how do you sing when you weren't born with the ability to sing well? Well, you came to the right place, because I feel like that's maybe both of us.
Yeah, right?
I want to be a singer, but I feel like my voice is terrible. I feel like when I'm alone, my voice is pretty all right, but when I get around people, it falls flat on its face. So we're going to have a different approach to this one, because I think this is something we've maybe both dealt with. Like, neither of us are like popping out of the wound and just like singing like Mariah Carey.
You know what's funny? I was actually a great singer as a little kid.
Really?
I was like the choir like superstar, and then I hit puberty, and then I was like, this isn't very good anymore. But I mean, do you want to go ahead? You want to lead with it?
Well, my advice isn't going to be the best, but I feel like everyone wants to be a singer. It's a great skill to have, and I just was like, what I'm trying to get out that I can hear up here doesn't translate here. It's why I don't know why this is happening, and I like would do stuff like I would put it into Melodyne and see how far off it was, and it would sound like I'm thinking I'm getting closer, but I'm like, this is not nearly as good as anything else that I can do. So I tried, and maybe if I tried really hard, I could get it to a certain level, but like I'll never be a good singer. No one's ever gonna pay me for singing. Like my guitar skills will be vastly superior no matter what I do. So I think the two things I kind of do are whatever I do with my voice, I really make sure it's suiting to what I can do. So like I'm not gonna try and sing like some soul song. It's gonna sound terrible. But if I just like do like a ugly gritty rock song, I can kind of make that work.
You're doing a good Johnny Cash the other day. That was
like,
kind of good.
You ever hear my song Human Garbage? I made a song once I wrote called Human Garbage, and it was about being a sack of garbage.
Man, all right.
And so it was like I was just basically yelling into the microphone, and that kind of works because that's the style that made sense with that song. So whenever I do sing, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do something that actually makes sense. Or I do like every now and then I'll write a song for my YouTube channel. It'll just be like a goofy country song that is talking about my day or whatever.
Sure.
One time I was looking for a beep that was happening in my house, and I made a song about the phantom beep.
I do remember that.
And so
that was a good one.
But that's a song where, like, I'm embracing the fact that it's not good, and I'm adding an element of humor there. But besides that, I just don't do it. I just hire people. I know what I'm good at. I'm not even going to go there. If I try to sing for like 90% of the time, it's going to make the experience worse, so I'm just going to work with someone else.
Objectively terrible advice. How do I become a better singer? Just don't do it. Don't do it. Pay somebody to do it.
No, you didn't say how do I become a better singer.
Here's the thing. All right.
You said, what do I do?
Here's my take on it. As someone who was not a good singer.
How to sing when you weren't born with the ability.
But...
Okay, well, yeah, my advice. Well,
okay. Yeah. So
know what you're good at, know what you're not good at, lean into the things you're good at. That's been my approach.
And
it's worked for me.
That's an approach. I have been paid to sing, believe it or not.
Okay.
Right? I wouldn't consider myself a classic singer, but I have actually worked on it to the point where I can play solo sets, and I've played and I've been paid to perform and play my own original music, solo singer-songwriter style, and it's something I was very self-conscious about for a long time. But here's the thing, anybody can learn to sing, all right? We're talking about two things. We're talking about tone and we're talking about pitch. Now your tone is harder to correct than your pitch. Your pitch is just like anything else. Your vocal cords are a string on a guitar, and some people have a very intrinsic understanding of how to find the frets on their vocal cords and be in tune all the time. Other people like me stray and they struggle with it, but you can correct that by actually practicing. You can become a very well-pitched singer by doing lots of take vocal courses or something like that. Have you ever taken a vocal course?
Yeah, actually, I took like vocal lessons for like a year.
And you probably improved.
For sure.
Right? You definitely improved.
For sure I improved.
Okay. Now, a lot of it, again, 80% of singing is just confidence, thinking you can do it. Even he's better than he says he is, because I know that
but I'm a way better guitar player.
Sure, but here's the thing. We're not comparing you sing to guitar player.
My point is, like, why would there's enough good singers out there that I would rather just like work with someone else.
Sure.
Okay, so here's my point. If I had spent as much time trying to become a halfway decent singer as time is a valuable thing. And if I was just really working on trying to become a singer, I would have spent that time in a place that wouldn't have ever really paid off for me. If you really desperately want to do it, okay, so be it. But for me, I was like, what can I do with my skills? Where do I best put my time? If I'm naturally going to be a much better guitar player, I'm going to spend time there. It'd be the same thing if like in grade whatever, I was like, I love hockey, but I could either become a sumo wrestler or a hockey player. I could spend a ton of time trying to like bulk up, but I'm never going to be able to get to be that. So if I spent my time in a place where there's more of a chance and my skills are maybe more what I have naturally makes more sense there, it makes more sense to spend your time doing what you're good at.
Fair. In a professional sense, that's one thing.
Yeah, I guess
not everyone can become Mariah Carey.
No.
But I do feel like for like indie singing, if you just are trying to find your voice to accompany yourself,
you can find a way.
Anybody can do that. Anybody can improve their pitch to be really good, like he was saying with like Melodyne, kind of charting your practice, and your tone using different knowing where your tone sits is big. One thing that was big for me is like actually down tuning the guitar and playing down a step, sometimes even 2 steps, because this is better for my vocal range. So find your range.
Yeah, embracing your limitations too is a thing. Like, there are people who have been really successful as singers who have just like known what their limitations are. Mm-hmm. Like I've heard, like for me, I have a lower voice. So if I were ever to go down the singing road, I would try to like do baritone type of stuff. Even if I really wanted to sing like Axl Rose, it's never gonna happen. So I wouldn't try to do that. I would try to take my limitations and do what I can with the tools that I have.
Yeah, embrace the tone that you have and then use it to the best thing. Yeah.
We got a super chat here.
Hey!
These ones are popping up. We're doing musical helpline, sharing with us your musical problems, personal guitar problems. We're trying to help. Can't guarantee that we're offering the best advice, but we're trying.
Might be really bad advice.
It might be. Savon Young asks, so in reference to levels of guitar skill, at what point can you play creatively and start to write songs without having to stop and find chords? So I guess the point is like, when can you expect to be getting creative and having fun with it? So my answer, right off the bat,
day one. That's my answer.
As soon as you can right off the bat. That's the nice thing about guitar. It's not like a trumpet where you really have to get over a huge initial physical thing. I remember like the first thing I did when I got a guitar was like my buddy taught me how to play "Smells Like Teen Spirit," but I was like that's what he taught me. And so that was day one what I did. And with that, I wrote a song.
There you go.
I was like, and I just like wrote a song with that exact thing.
Single notes. So that's all you need to accompany yourself. Could be an open string.
Sitting here doing a live stream, making some friends on the internet. Yeah, I'm sitting here doing a live stream.
Making some friends on the super chat. That's it. You're done. You're good.
And so then every step of the way, like that's kind of the goal, is to be able to do something creative with it no matter what tools you have right at the beginning. And if you always, whatever you learn, try to think about what you can do creatively with that, that's going to pay off as far as like having fun with it, as far as your development with it. And if you're just always having creative fun with it, you're going to keep on wanting to do it.
There you go.
So every step of the way, I really encourage you to get creative, write songs with whatever tools you have. Whatever, as limited as those can possibly be, take whatever you have and use that.
That's good advice with the Teen Spirit thing. Even just take an existing song that's super easy to play and then just replace the lyrics with joke lyrics or whatever. And I feel like that's just a good exercise in trying it, you know? Trying it out.
Yeah, just do it. Do you want to?
Want me to find another one?
Yeah, you find another one. I'll do the ad read.
Yeah, ad read time. Oh my gosh.
How long have we been on for? I don't even know. Having so much fun. I'm losing track of time.
We're doing it. We out here.
We've been on for 1 hour.
There we go.
Okay, so the ad read is it's a soft ad read, but the sponsor of today's video is SweetwaterMusic.com. And I'm gonna try to do this one off the top of my head.
All right.
It's been a bit. So, Sweetwater is they're my go-to place for if I need anything musical. I go to the Sweetwater website. I buy it there, and it's delivered right to my door. And one of the nice things is it also comes with a nice little piece of candy. So all the stuff that we're actually using to live stream, this is a Sweetwater setup, and they offer like there's nowhere else that compares to the kind of inventory they have. Mm-hmm. And you might think, if I go to the actual store, I'm gonna get better customer service. No freaking chance.
They will legit check your gear. Like if we weren't figuring this out at 5 a.m. last night, we could have just called Sweetwater during
Honestly, they might
hours.
even have it. There's a chance there's a chat that we could have gone on.
We probably should have done that.
Yeah, we set this up at 5 a.m. last night, and we were having some struggles. And if it was 5 p.m., we would have probably just gotten the phone and said, "Hey, Sweetwater, we need help," and they would have a specific problem that we're having with like a specialized piece of gear. They could have helped it out. So they also for buying guitars there, they take pictures of every individual guitar that they do a picture of?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you buy a guitar, they send you pictures of your guitar.
The guitar
they do a how many points inspection? Is it a 49-point inspection?
I think it's a 55-point inspection.
Okay, so we're in the ballpark there. They have a checklist of 55 things they do to make sure that this guitar is going to be, when you get it, it's going to be amazing, ready to play, ready to go. They're my go-to spot. I love the guys at Sweetwater.
And that place is just stacked with good-looking dudes, too.
Good-looking dudes.
Josh,
what a guy.
Josh. And Ryan, Tyler,
Okay, we're not just shouting out Sweetwater dudes. That's not what this is turning into. So love those guys. Mm-hmm. It's and I'll just say I have a relationship with them, and everyone I've dealt with there is just it's a good vibe. Some places you go and you're like, this is a bad vibe. Sweetwater, not one of those places. And you get candy.
We're going to Gear Fest too.
Yeah, we're going to Gear Fest in 2 weeks. We're going to actually go there. So yeah, you also get candy when you
amazing.
When you buy stuff from them. So
all right, cool.
There you go. And if you want to see some of the gear that I play that's also available in Sweetwater, there's a link in the description where you can check out the stuff that I use.
And he gets a percentage, which is great.
Yeah, it's
keep
great.
it going.
You got any?
Yeah, we got a couple. How can I be confident in my musicianship, and how can I get my music heard if I'm not a social person? Confidence and getting the music heard. I think these are two very different questions.
Do we have to? I feel like you were born with the confidence of a.
Confident, yeah.
You're a confident guy.
So
that was never an issue.
Oh no, it's still an issue for sure. Here's the thing.
With music,
yeah. I guess so.
Well, why don't you leave this one?
I mean, it's the same thing. It's practice, it's nobody wants to hear it, but when I'm playing a show or when I'm playing one of my songs, I know I'm not going to mess up because I've just done it so many times, right? You just know you're not going to mess up. And then if you do mess up, it's weird little thing that happened, and then you recover because you're well practiced, you know the material, you know what's going on.
You do it enough, you know yourself, you know where
you've put in the work, right? So the only time I've been unconfident going into a show is if I was under rehearsed for the gig. And usually then it's always ended up being fine. But I always want to rehearse to make sure it's down, especially if it's a live performance or something like that. And I go on live on just live streams whatever, I'll try anything, But that's also the same thing is being confident enough to know that people aren't gonna. It's not the end of the world. It's just music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the confidence thing's a little bit tough because I think when you get to a point where you're just it's good.
Yeah.
And then you want to get to the point where you're I know this is good, and if somebody doesn't like it, that's fine. So it's taken me a while to get there. Though one of the things that helps is if you work with other people and they can offer you like a barometer of where you're actually at and maybe help you fix some of the things that you need to work on. And then if you have someone that you really trust and you're getting critiques from them, you want to find someone who's not just like ripping you down, not someone who's just like pumping your tires the whole time, but you want to find someone who can say, yeah, this is really, really good, and you believe them. And they can say, hey, you need to work on this, you need to work on this. And so that was a big thing for me, like having a teacher back when I was in college, who when I was like really working on the songwriting stuff, he really like gave me really strong constructive criticism the first couple songs I brought in. And so I knew he wasn't just gonna be giving me a fluff piece, telling me how great I am. And so I took that advice really to heart, and I really worked on it. And I think this was a thing. Like, this is the thing you gotta do, is you really work on getting better at your deficiencies. And so when I did bring in a song, he was like, wow, that is like, if you can write at that level. I remember exactly him saying this. He's like, if you can write at this level, you have a real future ahead of you doing this. And like, that was like, he never told anyone else in my class that. It was like, I was like, I'm on to something. And this wasn't just me bringing that in out of nowhere. Like, I took the songs, the critiques he gave me for my earlier songs, and really tried to improve there. So like, I really, really worked hard, which is like my mentality in life, is I really work hard at everything I do. And so when I did have something that was good, and I knew this guy, like it wasn't just some random guy teaching a songwriting class. Like, this was a guy who had a real pretty impressive career doing music. So when you hear from someone like that, it means a lot. And so from then on, I just kind of knew that I had it within me, and I just needed to hit that bar every time. And that confidence grew when I started having people tell me it was good, but people I trusted that it was good. And even then, like, I knew going into that class, I knew that I'd written a good song. And so it's kind of honing your instincts, trusting your instincts, but just getting to the point where it is actually like good enough. Because for a long time in my life, it wasn't good enough. I'm not sure I knew it, but part of it was I did keep on putting it out there. I did keep on just trying and knowing that it's not like you only have one chance to put your music into the world. And if you don't make it and you put something into the world and it sucks, you're done. I put a lot of stuff into the world that wasn't great. And you can just keep on doing it. And if you are trying to get better, then you are going to get better. But part of it is actively trying to get to that point where you have confidence in what you do. You've worked hard enough, you've put in the hours, you've compared yourself to other people in a healthy way, you've got critiques, and then you can have that confidence.
There you go. I love it.
All right, should we move on?
Sure. Get another one.
Yeah, Simon Mueller says, my wife won't let me buy a telly. How can I fix my wife's brain? Sean?
I mean, this isn't a problem I've ever had to deal with. You have a partner who is very cool with you buying whatever you want. So I mean, maybe this is more on your part. Was Jenny always just down with like, oh, I'm just gonna buy whatever?
Yeah, like she actually thinks that when I buy a guitar, it's cool.
Okay.
I think it would be a problem if I'm like buying guitars and we're like neglecting to fix certain things in our house. Like our dishwasher broke and I'm like, I can't afford it. And then I come home with a new guitar. That would be a problem. But that's not been the case. And so I think maybe a lot of it is like spending your money appropriately, in the sense that, like, I don't know what this guy's financial situation is, but if all your needs are looked after within the house and you're like, we're not strapped for cash and I would like to put my money towards a guitar, and that will come at the expense of maybe some other things that I might want to do. You know, I'm not going to complain about the future. Then it's like, go just have a conversation about like,
gently remind her that you've proven you're a man of means and you've provided for the home and for the family, and the Telecaster is just that. And if you don't have evidence of being able to do that,
then maybe you shouldn't actually buy a Tele. Okay, so that actually is why it's not a big deal when I buy guitars, is because I haven't shown a history of just blowing all my money on frivolous things. Like, I'm pretty smart with a lot of the ways that I spend things. Guitars would be maybe the one exception, but even then, it's not like I'm spending 90% of my money on guitars or anything. Like, it's a small fraction. And so I can say to Jenny, well, look, I'm not, and she knows that I'm not just like frivolously making terrible monetary decisions. And so if it were a thing where she'd be like, do you really need a Telly? Well, I can say, well, we're doing okay. I made some good choices. You don't need to worry about me spending my money here. But if you're like, oh yeah, you're right, I do have massive credit card debt. The cat needs an operation. We're putting that off. and I want to buy a guitar instead of that, then you know what? Maybe you shouldn't.
And if you're worried about your wife's brain health, maybe get her some fish oil pills or something, or some Sudoku puzzles.
Get her microdosing magic mushrooms. Uh-oh.
What? The camera just shuts off every now and then, huh?
It's a setting on the camera.
That's
if it shuts off, it's coming right back.
Man, love it.
I think it's because I have like it's they don't need to know why it's shutting off, but it's not interesting. It shuts off now and then. So again, let's tell people what we're doing here.
Yeah, let's do it.
We are doing the Musicians Helpline. Sean Daniel, Sammy G are trying to solve your musical, personal, guitar-based problems.
Yep.
So if you have them, no card in camera. Yeah, see, that's what it is. And now we're back.
Okay.
If you have issues that you want us to talk about, leave us a comment. There's quite a few here. It's kind of hard to go through them.
Yeah.
So
or just
super chats. We're prioritizing the super chats whenever they happen to pop up.
Or my own personal issues, if you want to go over that. You know, this is I don't have secrets from the people.
What do you mean, like they're? Yeah. What?
What?
What are you saying?
My secrets? If they have specific questions for my, about my personal life.
Okay, Alfie Shaw. I got one from Alfie Shaw. He says, I have a talent show coming up from my school.
Oh.
It's just me. What song should I play? We're going to assume he's a guitar player because I don't know.
So like a guitar instrumental then, not a singer-song thing.
I don't know. I would say the first thing you do is, what's the best song that you can play? What's the song that you have the most fun playing? What's the one that you've played a million times? What song right now is way below your talent threshold? That's a good way of, I think that's a good thing.
Aim low.
It's not aim low. Like, find the thing where, if you're like, I can just play this in my bedroom, if you're going to go play that live, it's going to be a disaster. But if you're like, I can play this with my eyes closed, because when you go up on stage, like, the adrenaline's going to get going. You need, your skills are probably going to drop down a fair bit. And if you haven't played it on stage a lot, you're maybe not aware that as soon as you step up there, it's going to get harder. Adrenaline's going. You're a little nervous. So you want to play something that you can play in your sleep. You can play when your skills have dropped down 20%. Because if you're trying to play the hardest thing you can play, and then your skills drop down 20%, that's when you're going to have that moment where it all falls apart. Guitar strap breaks, falls on the ground, you start crying, and it's a terrible experience.
I mean, here's what
below your talent threshold.
What are your goals for the? I have a slightly different take on this. What are your goals for the talent show? Are you trying to win the talent show? Or are you trying to be the cool guy at the talent show? Because the cool guy's probably not going to win the talent show. Like, are you going to do like some?
What do you mean?
If we're talking about
what's a cool guy?
Like if you could play like Ego Death or something, like some Tim Henson like talent show just riffs.
That guy's gonna win.
Like that.
Think?
Yeah, I guess I probably would. But like if you just want like a solid talent show song that's not that bad to do, like just play like Blackbird, you know?
Oh yeah, good one.
I feel like Blackbird is good because it's like
it sounds hard.
Yes, it sounds harder than it is to play, and it's like
it's a beautiful song too. So if you can sing, you're crushing it.
Yeah. So and it's like busy enough that it's not like a sparse acoustic guitar talent show song. I feel like Blackbird's a really good talent show song.
You ever play a talent show?
You know what's funny? I have accompanied at several talent shows because I used to teach all these kids at this private school.
Okay.
So I would just be like, they're like older guy guitar player, and I'd be like, hey kids, and then I'd just be like.
We didn't really have talent shows in my school.
Yeah, we didn't have a talent show either.
The only one
I would have done it if I had one.
We had one. I can't remember. I think maybe I was in grade 8, and our talent was we lip synced to the Simpsons song "Dr. Zayas."
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
Yeah, so we lip synced that. That was our talent.
Cool. That's awesome.
And I think they do a dance and like one of the monkeys like spins around on the floor. And we had one of our buddies doing that. As we're like.
Did that win?
I don't know if there was a winner. I think the guy who
the
guy who lip synced Enrique Iglesias might have won it.
Oh, come on.
It wasn't a lot of talent.
Yeah,
we had coffee houses is what we used to have, where it was like after school one day, everyone would get there and like play some acoustic guitar songs, but it wasn't or like just do their musical coffee house talent, but it wasn't like a challenge or a competition or anything.
Okay.
If you won a talent show. Done a talent show.
Let us know what the winning talent show is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess now that you're saying it, these shows that I played, there wasn't like a winner really. Yeah? But there's usually someone who's like, all right, this person's actually talented. Maybe just do like a magic act. That's always fun.
Let's do another one here. Judgment Crow says, I can't find new songs to learn. I'm stuck on Polyphony and I don't find other band songs that I want to play. just learn Polyphia then. Like, there's enough there. Like, those guys are insane.
Learn some Plini, right? like I feel like that's a good adjacent Polyphia thing that's a different speed. Yeah,
I would just keep. Well, first of all, what I would do is if you really only want to learn that, like I've been through phases in my life where I'm like, all I want to do is play Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
If you want to play something, then just play that thing for as long as you want to, and it's gonna eventually evolve and like just keep listening to new stuff. But if you only want to play Polyphia, just like play it.
Nah, here's the thing. All right. You know what? Shut up. Okay. Come on. You're saying in the chat like, all I can do is just play Polyphia. Oh, where do I go from? Shut up. Come on, man. I feel like this is like a flex.
No, I think
like,
he's saying
all I can do is play.
It's not all he can do. It's all he wants to do.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's not all I can do is play Polyphia.
Okay,
No,
right.
I think it's all he wants.
Shut up.
Like, he just loves Polyphia, and that's all he wants to spend his time on.
Is this the same guy that is scaring himself with his talent? Is this Fresh D again?
This is Fresh D again. Well, here's another thing you can also do is you take Polyphia and you look at who those guys listen to. So when I was stuck on Guns N' Roses for a while, I then looked at like, well, who did Guns N' Roses like? Oh, they like Aerosmith. I'm going to check them out. Who did Aerosmith like? Oh, they like Led Zeppelin. I'm going to check them out. Who did Led Zeppelin listen to? And so you can follow that back, and that gives you like, when you then go back and approach that thing that you're working on, you have like the history to draw on, which gives you a much more robust way of looking at it.
Here's a band. Here's a band recommendation. So if you like Polyphia, right? I get what you're saying. It's like, what other band is like Polyphia? Here's somebody to listen to. There's a guitar player named Josh in a band called Little Tybee that is actually really cool, kind of glitch tap stuff that I feel you might like. If you really love Tim Henson's playing, it's a totally different kind of like vibe, but Little Tybee is actually like a good guitar player to maybe try some cool stuff out with, and you might want to learn that stuff, because glitch, again, I'm not a glitch tapper Polyphia bro, but I feel like that stuff is close enough to each other in a different way, and it might be cool. Little Tybee, they got some cool music.
One guy said, regards to the talent show thing, he said he won a talent show once with friends lip syncing Tunak Tunak Tun and cross dressing.
Tunak Tunak Tun Tunak Tunak.
Do you know this song? Is this the thing? I've never heard this song.
Yeah, it's culturally different.
Okay.
But it's great.
I think maybe the point is like if you won the talent show, part of talent shows is just like the spectacle of the whole thing. The harder you try is probably going to just get you in the top 3, regardless of what the talent is. If you just really, really try and everyone, like you do like a whole setup and a dress thing, you turn it into a spectacle. If you're trying, most people don't try that hard.
Sure.
So it's a lesson in life. The harder you try, if you just like show up for the gig and you put an effort into it, you're like setting yourself up to win. So just try, even if it's not good.
Unless you're a YouTuber, then it's all about low effort.
Yeah, well, who knows? There's a guy who had a good one here, but now I've lost it because... You want to plug anything of yours? Let's plug Sean Daniels' channel. Tell us what you do on YouTube.
I make some fire videos, guys, where I start my videos off with a hilarious intro joke that takes me forever to think of, and then I just kind of get into some clownery, and it's always good time. It's a good time for all.
Is it always music based?
I would say most of it is revolving around music in some way. Like yesterday, I posted a video with my friend Nadia, which is really just an excuse to hang out with Nadia, and that's cool. She's a great person to hang out with. So people will probably be seeing more of her on the channel, so go check that out. Let me know what you think, because it's whatever. I live most of the time in Los Angeles now, back and forth between there and Florida.
Okay, I got a message if you're...
Oh yeah, my plug's done. That's it.
Yeah, go check out Sean.
That's pretty much it.
Sean Daniel. Okay, so Clyde Barretto, he's got a bit of a longer one, so this one came on the
nice
in the Google Forums. And again, if you're just tuning in, we're solving your problems, or at least we're attempting to. Music, personal, guitar.
We've saved lives already today.
Yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job here. Clive Barretto says, I had a band that was formed in college this academic year. The band went well for the most part, just the recent incidents have thrown off my plans for the next year completely. I was let go from the band as half the band felt that my energy and enthusiasm to perform live in front of an audience is too much for them. With them telling me that they wanted to continue on after college and me finishing college this year, I'm now left with absolutely no idea, no resources to continue playing to people, and I don't know what or how to work around this brick wall. For the record, I was not mad at them. But it did annoy me that they would do this without having a discussion about the decisions with me. So what I'm taking away from this is he wanted more out of the band than they wanted to do. Is that...
That sounds like it.
So the situation was he's more enthusiastic and they were probably wanting to be a little bit more... Yeah, dial it down a little
casual.
bit. I've been on the flip side of this. Yeah, I've kind of been on the flip side of this where
So what's that? Yeah.
3 of us were in the band really trying to do it, and one guy wasn't as enthusiastic. So it's a lot easier to be the majority making those decisions. And so what we did, we just got rid of that guy, and we spent a while replacing him, and it was for the better of the group. So I would say with this situation, it's not a situation that works for you. The intentions and what you want to do with this are very, very different. It's like a breakup. If one person wants to get married and the other person doesn't want to, then it's not going to work out. So it wasn't going to work out. It's probably better that you rip that Band-Aid off. And so now the next step is just finding people who have those same intentions as you, which is a lot easier said than done. Like musical matchmaking is very difficult.
I'm still looking. I've gone through a lot of potential bandmates.
I mean, that's why I did YouTube because I ran into this. I kind of ran into the exact same issue in a lot of ways. Is like I was trying to turn my band into a career, and nobody else was able to put that same sort of energy into it as I was. Nobody kind of saw the vision, so I was like, forget it. I'm just gonna do these ideas that I have on YouTube, and that was like the start of my YouTube channel. So
blessing in disguise.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. What do you do? Can you do a lot of this by yourself? Because if you're really motivated, your biggest problem is going to be finding people who have that same hunger and drive as you. So how can you do that yourself? And it's a hard question to answer. I had a student once, and he was like, we can't find a drummer for my band, me and this bass player, and so now we're not playing live and doing anything. So I was just like, well, maybe let's think a little bit more obliquely about this problem. You can't find a drummer, so could you just do a duo? No, that doesn't make you happy. So what could you find to replace a drummer? Assuming that you actually can't find a drummer, what's a cool, weird thing you could do? Maybe just like buy an old boombox, get a bunch of drum loops on a cassette, and that's your drummer. If I saw a band doing that, and that was like part of what they did, they said, okay, we gotta take a break now to plug in the next, to tune our drummer in or plug the song into our drummer, and they treated him like a drummer, and maybe they put the boombox on the drum set, and they put a tape deck in there, press play, and they jammed along. That would be like totally different. If I saw that live, I'd be like, man, this is awesome.
That's
Way
cool.
to embrace your limitation.
For sure.
So thinking about that, finding oblique ways to make the best out of what you have.
Yeah, nobody wants to get fired from a band, but blessing in disguise because you'll find the right people. We got a super chat there?
We got 2 super chats. Oh man.
Yeah.
Way to go, guys. Love it. Big Bag of Pus.
Oh, nice.
is the username. And he asks, I feel stuck learning soloing, up and down scales, eighth notes. Sammy G, what are the prerequisites for your soloing courses? What do I already need to be able to do? What do I need to be able to do to get the most out of them? Oh man, so he paid me to do an advertisement.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, well, Big Bag of Pus, you the man.
Yeah, first of all, get that bag of pus checked out.
Yeah.
You know, that'll help. You got to make sure your fingers are fluidly moving.
Can't imagine a lot grosser than a bag of pus. So with my courses, the soloing ones, the craft of soloing, I have 2. The craft of soloing and the style of soloing. The craft of soloing is really, I tried to teach ways of thinking about soloing that anybody can work with. So it wasn't about play this note, It was about taking a step back and thinking about how you can turn what you're doing into cohesive musical ideas. It's kind of like not the philosophy of solo, but the bigger picture of it. And so I would say for that one, really, if you can just like, I think I even put a pentatonic prerequisite or a primer in there. So if you can't even play the pentatonic scale, I think there's a thing where I show you how to play a pentatonic scale in there and how you can just take that and start making solos with it. So honestly, for that one, it sounds.
You don't need a prerequisite for that one.
You don't need anything for that one, but it also really helps for someone who's like a really good guitar player. Like this is stuff I talked about, I learned about in college. This is stuff I was learning about when I first started soloing. So it's about creating musical stories versus like, oh yeah, you got to play this one, you got to play this one. The style of soloing is definitely more advanced. I would say with that one, my courses, the rudiments and beyond the basics. So basic music theory, knowing your way up and down the guitar neck, because I talk a lot in musical terms for that one. So for that one, you got to have, you got to be able to play a couple solos, know your way around the neck a bit. That's going to help a ton. But with the craft of soloing, you can just get right into it.
So, all right. So if I know the pentatonic,
yeah, like you'll learn a lot.
Positions, then I should go for the second one you mentioned.
Well, depends on what you want to do. If you're wanting to learn how to like make engaging, interesting musical stories, that's what the first one's about. And so one of the things I do in that one, I'm like, okay, sometimes all you even need is like 4 notes. how can you turn those 4 notes into an interesting solo? And you do things like, we talk about how you can think about that like a statement or a musical idea, a sentence. That's my first statement. And maybe I repeat that statement with a slight twist. I'm playing the same notes, but now I'm furthering my idea. So that's kind of what that one does. And the other one's more about like, here's some flashy stuff you can chuck in there that adds a cherry on the cake. We got another super chat. Woo!
So many. I love it.
Roy, my dude. He asks, I feel like I'm having a speed limit on guitar when I'm trying to learn songs. I get stuck at like half speed for months. How long should it take to get up to speed? Not crazy difficult stuff either. I think the first thing you got to do is you got to spend time isolating your problem. So if your problem is chops and speed stuff, just learning songs is not isolating the problem. You're not working on the thing that's giving you an issue. You got to put the songs away for a little bit and just focus on the technical aspect of playing guitar, which isn't the most fun thing to do, but that would be what I would recommend, is like doing like technique exercises that aren't even going to be fun.
My advice would be arpeggios for that.
Like doing alternate picking stuff. Like it's like a guitar, it's working out. Mm-hmm. It's not like playing the game, but you're doing the working out, and so that when you go to play the game, it's going to be that much easier.
I think a really cool addition to that is arpeggios. So it's a little bit of both, is what he was talking about. Plus it's a little more musical, right? If you can do that, right? Here's just a G kind of add 9 arpeggio that I can repeat through the neck, and then maybe you just go down and up next time, and then eventually you can kind of like speed it up, right? So knowing where you're going, because a lot of times not knowing the next note is what's slowing you down.
Yeah.
It's like you're playing a note and then the future arrives. So I think the trick is to know what's happening, and that's where the arpeggios and like, you know, the scale positions and stuff and the exercises come into play, because the future is not just coming upon you. It's like you're just playing the next. You know where the next note's going to be.
Your finger already knows,
yeah.
And so you can start thinking about things like, okay, how am I playing this? Really I keep saying isolating, but it's really about figuring out what's causing you problems. How, like the mechanics of guitar, how am I plucking the string? Am I doing the most efficient thing possible? And I'm not like a technician by any means, but I have spent time doing that, and like I don't play that fast, but I can play as fast as I can because I actually have like spent time really figuring out those mechanics. And the guys who are extremely fast, they've spent more time doing it. So Jonathan Contreras asks, how beneficial is playing piano for guitar playing? He says he's played guitar for 10 years and wants to learn piano. Can I speak to this as learning another instrument such as piano? How does piano help with guitar? I got an opinion on this. Okay, let's hear your take.
Because it's almost like the exact. I mean, think about a piano, right? It's linear, so it's a totally different thing. I think guitar is more of like a shape-based instrument, right? You know, like I said, that arpeggio I just played G. I just started on a G. Now I can do the same thing on a B major, right? But piano is linear, so everything is in order. So it's essentially a guitar is 6 strings, like 6 pianos lined up. But when you're playing a piano, the inversions and the order of the notes are of paramount importance. So I feel like that gives you such a rhythmic philosophy that is much different on keeping a beat on a guitar, because, you know, the kind of like the force of hitting the strings is essentially a rhythm, whereas you kind of have to have a little more of a vibe on a piano between your hands. And like I said, the building of chords and inversions has such a different sound. And kind of,
I guess it depends on what he wants to do. If he just only wants to be a guitar player, does playing piano help him? Like, but see, I would say it was completely useless for me.
Really? No kidding.
Completely useless.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, we had to take a piano course in college, like that. We had to do like an intro to piano course, and you had to like learn how it works. So for me, there's none of the theory stuff that's ever really helped me with piano, because I guess I visualize it all based on guitar, and so it was already kind of worked out in my head. And so if I sit down with a piano, if you gave me enough time, I could play a ton of stuff. Like I could play, I can make music on a piano just because it's very easily laid out, but I have no technical aspect with it. So like if you said, write me, here's a piano piece, or like write me something cool on piano, I could do it, but it would just take me forever because I have no technical ability.
Okay.
Honestly, like if you're a drummer or if you're like a single note player, like a trumpet, then you really need a harmonic component to it, and it really helps you understand that. But I don't know, like I was able to do everything I wanted with the guitar, and I can understand how a piano works. It's rarely intuitive the way it's laid out. But if right now I went and spent like a year learning piano, I don't think it would make me a better guitar player.
I think it definitely made me rethink the entire way I think about chords, especially extended chords. Because you could play like a C major 9, like all right, C, E, G, B, D, and then I could play like a version of shell voicing of that chord on a guitar. But on a piano, you're like, oh, a C9 is actually C, E, G, B. That's a C chord plus a G major chord, and then it's like, oh, this makes a lot of different sense.
It depends on where you're at. Like if you're not really understanding the theory part of guitar, then that really helps. But if you've learned theory and looked at like standard notation, you get that same information like stacked on top, which I guess I had. So it depends. I personally didn't find it helpful, but if you're struggling with or you don't really, I feel like I have a really strong conceptualization of music theory and how it all works.
That's a great point.
And if I didn't have that, then I think piano would be really beneficial.
I think that's it. Yeah, so you went to music school and you learned properly. I just self-taught, so I never even really learned to read music.
And even before music school, I had a teacher who taught me all this stuff.
Okay,
so the piano wasn't super helpful. So it could be. For me, it wasn't. It could be for you. You wanna? I'll find another one here.
Sure. What do you want me to do?
And I'll find one first, and then you find one.
Great. Major 9 chords, guys.
Flip the graphics in the video, but then is your brother super talented? Are they talking
in different ways?
They say, I hear your brother's very talented. When will he be featured on your channel?
Yeah.
Have you talked about how talented your brother is?
My brother's the man, dude. Paul Daniel, legend. He's in Brazil right now. He's talented. He's a computer guy. I would say we were born with the same kind of talents. I don't come from a musical family. I was a self-taught, picked it up when I was like 16,
I'm
17.
saying I didn't come from wasn't born around music in any way.
Yeah, so my brother never really got into music, but his talents are more of like a computer-based and video games. He was the #1 ranked Halo 2 player in the world on Earth. He was the #1 player.
And he puts in an effort, I'm sure. Like he's
ridiculous. I tell so that's talent to me. So yeah, Paul Daniel, legend, absolute legend.
Okay, I got one here. This comes from Giselvis. JZ Elvis, Giselvis. Hey guys, big fan. So I have a huge problem with how much of a perfectionist I am. I hear problems with recordings that nobody else hears. I feel terrible releasing it, not being completely satisfied with it. When I keep on recording to try and get the perfect takes, I always find something wrong with it. Have you ever experienced this stuff? How do you deal with perfectionism?
That's interesting because I am not a perfectionist, and a lot of my friends are. And a lot of my friends are like professional, like very high level professionals in the music industry that are perfectionists, and that perfectionism actually helps them. Mm-hmm. I would say for someone making artist music, and this I'm talking about our buddy Brian, who does like video game compositions. But perfectionist in a way that he has to be for his job, right? And that's why he's successful, because he's so good and he hears stuff that I don't hear. Right? He's like, oh, there's a resonance here that is bad. I need to fix it. And I'm like, huh? Right? But from an artist standpoint, I think like my lack of perfectionism has been a huge help, almost like a superpower. Because a lot of artists are like that. Like they're not ready to like release something to the world unless it's totally ready.
Yeah, I'm a bit like in that world.
Yeah, and the way I view YouTube is great because it's not really traditional media. You can put imperfect things on YouTube all the time, and that's kind of the difference between our channels. Because mine is just kind of like just run and gun. Like I'll screw up during the middle of a video and be like, whatever, you guys get it. Whereas like your videos are so slick, they're like so well put together.
Yeah, I've actually like kind of had to dial it down because back in the day I used to like reshoot over like the most minimal things. Like weirdly things, like if my like hair was like doing this,
that would bother you.
It would bother me so much. I guess one of the things that helps is like putting it into the world and seeing that nobody actually cares, and just like being like,
sure, what's
more beneficial for me here? If I put something out, if I put out more stuff, or if I put out my version of perfection that nobody else appreciates.
Yeah, just let it. That's why I think these live streams are great for.
Yeah, because it's actually a little bit more of a this is way more
yeah,
more laid back, and you get to see a different side of what I do at least.
There you go. Keep hyping him up. Hold him accountable to keep doing these live streams because he needs to do it all the time. I love it.
I think I'll try. I'm learning things from this one, such as like you gotta get someone to read these comments, because if I was just doing this by myself trying to go through comments, it would be the most boring live stream in the world.
For sure.
For me, dealing with perfectionism, yeah, I do actually hyperfixate on certain things. Having done YouTube as long as I have, I've realized what people care about, what people don't care about, and what I can get away with. And also sometimes if you do make a mistake, it's just like, it's not the worst for engagement. I said a word wrong, and yeah, like I had a video where I said John, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts, what's his name? The guy with the guitar collection.
Why can't I think?
I can't remember his first name, but his last name's, is it Irsay or
Jim Irsay? Jim Irsay.
So I said Israel, right? At one point in my life, I didn't actually notice this until I put the video out because people were calling me out on it. But had I been in a situation where I found it out and my video was shot, I think I would have just left it in and said, screw it, because people are just going to comment on it. You get a whole bunch of comments, which is never a bad thing, correcting you.
Sure.
And it's just such a meaningless thing. So you just got to know what you're okay with and kind of be, or maybe not what you're okay with, but what other people are okay with. And if you're putting out a song and it's not 100% perfect, and like 100 people are listening to it and they love it, then you're not even, there's not a single one of them who's going to figure out some of those things. But if you're in a situation like Brian is, where it's really, it requires that high level of perfectionism, then you approach it differently. I don't know, I'm naturally a perfectionist, and I have saved some of that for like the recording that I've worked on. Because I'm kind of approaching that as a different thing, like some of my own personal artist type of music. I'll approach that with a bit of a higher threshold than if I'm putting something out on YouTube, because I know there's a different expectation there. Knowing what the expectation is. Are you expected to be perfect? If you're making indie music and it's not perfect, you can get away with it. If you're trying to make pop music, then hey, that perfectionism is going to go, is going to be an important thing.
Which is why I love that indie music.
Yeah.
Here's
sometimes flaws, sometimes things that aren't perfect are actually good. Like, can you imagine if, I'm trying to think of a band, if Nirvana had no like slightly out of tune notes, or everything's perfectly on the grid, or Led Zeppelin. Like some of the charm is a cack note in there makes it feel like you feel the emotion in it. So sometimes actually not being perfect is actually a good thing.
Have you ever heard like the David Lee Roth isolated vocals?
Yeah, they're hilarious.
It's so good, but like like
running with the devil.
Yeah, but there's so much personality, you know. If you have like a producer auto tuning all that,
it loses it. So sometimes the lack of perfection actually gives you a. One person asked, "How long has the stream got left?" I don't know.
Whatever. As long as those super chats keep coming.
Half an hour.
Make it worth our while, people.
Yeah, let's say half an hour we'll be on here for.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I want to go for a swim. It's hot out.
I still need to see the finest of Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Are you gonna drive through the?
Maybe. I think once the kids are asleep, we'll go for a drive and I'll show you.
That's cool.
I'll show you the core of downtown Winnipeg.
All right. How about do more guests, because this live stream is a banger. Who are some of your guests you'd want to have on here?
Oh my God, I was trying to we came up with the idea of doing this today 2 days ago, so I've definitely not been thinking about guests.
Who's your dream guest?
On a live stream? Man, it would be someone who I can just sit and hang out with and just have a nice chat with, someone who is just a good buddy that, this is for me, I'm having a good time right now. If I had Slash here or whoever, I'd be like, this is weird. Stressful. What am I talking to you?
I feel like Slash is smelly. He seems like he's smelly.
Yeah, he could be. I think does he still smoke?
I don't know. There's a comment on the forums, by the way.
There's a lot of comments on the forums. We are not able to get through all of them.
If you want them
forums? Yeah, there's a bunch of them. We've done a few off there.
Oh, okay.
If you want priority, again, those super chats. That's the way to go. My dream guest. I'm trying to think of my friends who I just have good chemistry and hanging out with. It's when we did that thing at NAMM. Tracy asked me. He's like, we can probably get basically anyone you want on this panel. Who do you want to get? I got my man Sean Daniel, because I would rather hang out with someone I
of course,
genuinely and just can have a good vibe with, than I don't know.
So Davidas.
Jimmy Page.
Davidas is the answer.
I'd for sure like to have Davi on here.
Love
anyone who I can just my friends are who I would want to have on.
I love the videos of you and Neely. Those are pretty great.
I like to get I haven't talked to Adam as much lately. But he's a busy dude.
He's sun gazing, man.
Yeah, he wasn't at NAMM where I usually see him, but
yeah.
Man, who would be my dream guest? Who would be your dream guest on a live stream?
I'd like to do one with Mary Spender.
Yeah, Mary would be your.
That'd be fun.
Okay.
Just talking shop, talking Martin guitars and stuff like that. I feel like
I'd like to get Brian on.
And get Brian on. Maybe that could be it.
Salting it up.
I mean, that we could do that at Sweetwater. We could have Sweetwater set up the live room and have a real ones.
Chad's coming back. Don't worry.
He's coming back. Don't worry. It's a canon thing. Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll do a live stream at Sweetwater because they can set it up for us, and then we just walk in.
I can't even think of musically. You know who it would be? Who I think every time I've seen him in an interview, it's like he has like interesting things to say, and like I would just like to just I could do. You feel like you could do this with the guy? Honestly, probably John Mayer.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think it would be John Mayer. I've never seen him in an interview where he's like I watch him whenever it pops up, and he's like he just has like interesting things to say. He looks at the world from a very interesting but relatable way, and I think he's been through enough that he is kind of really aware of what works for him. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to have, that would be the dream guest. Yeah, John Mayer. And I also love a lot of his music.
I think Phoebe Bridgers for me would be a big one.
And that would just be purely artistically, or does she seem like she'd be a good hang?
I would be shooting my shot the whole time.
Okay, so you'd be, is she not in a relationship with someone?
She kind of always is, and they're always kind of famous and stuff like that, but if anybody knows Phoebe Bridgers, let her know that
yours gonna be Taylor Swift.
I'm in LA.
Does she give good interviews? I feel like it'd be weird. I'd be sitting here like, what I ask this girl?
Here's the thing. It's it'd be hard to follow Matt Healy. Actually, maybe it wouldn't be hard to follow Matt Healy. I mean, yeah, Taylor, come on, hit my line. I'd be about Taylor Swift.
I don't think I'd want. I mean, if the opportunity arose, of course I would say, oh yeah, you can come on the live stream if you really want to. But say her management made it happen, I'd be like, what would I talk to her
about? I would have a lot to talk to Taylor Swift about, aside from shooting my shot, respectfully, mind you, because I think she's a great songwriter. She's an absolute iconic songwriter, and I'm talking specifically.
But what would you talk to her about?
I'd talk about kind of philosophically how her songwriting has evolved over time, because I think she started out as kind of the voice of a young girl's generation.
Yeah, she's very country.
And then she evolved into what I think is just an elite songwriter. On the Folklore and Evermore.
Man, I kind of stopped listening after Red was kind of when I stopped.
Yeah, see, you missed all the good stuff, man. The One.
Oh yeah, I think she's so awesome. Good. I don't even know why I stopped listening. I kind of started listening to podcasts.
The top 3 favorite podcasts, go.
Stuff You Should Know.
Oh, okay. You still listen to that?
Yeah.
I stopped listening to that a while ago, actually. I was early on it, but
the number one is Hardcore History. Every time there's a new Hardcore History episode, I save that one. I'm yes, there's one. I'm gonna save this till I can actually really engage in it. And then Dan Carlin. So this might be cheating, but he has 3 podcasts he does. Mm-hmm. So the 3 I listen to all of them.
Yeah.
So let's lump that in as one. Dan Carlin stuff.
Got it.
Stuff You Should Know. I don't have a third. I just listen to 2. Those are the 2 I listen to. Cool. And there's enough there that it keeps me.
Nice. I'm a b-ball guy, so Zach Lowe, Bill Simmons. You know who's got a good music one? Nora Jones. Playing along with Nora Jones, so good. She has a guest on, and then they kind of just jam out some songs together. She'll play their songs with him, and then it's an interview. Nora Jones.
Nora Jones is quite awesome. How did she? There was kind of a weird thing that happened around 2006 where jazz influenced female singer-songwriters were acoustic stuff was really popular, and I was all for it. There's some great stuff. Nora Jones.
I remember Nellie McKay was kind of in that group. I'm an Amy Mann fan.
Amy Mann's awesome.
Amy Mann's great. Fiona Apple is my all-time favorite. I love Fiona Apple. I think she's the greatest singer.
I don't know enough about her to have a...
Greatest songwriter of all time. On wax, Fiona Apple. This is not even an argument.
No, the greatest songwriter of all time is not... What do you mean by great? People often bring this up.
I think that...
How do you define great? What's your criteria for great?
All right, so she is elite in all 3 categories of songwriting. As a actual singer, performance singer, she's elite, 10 out of 10. As a lyricist, elite, 10 out of 10. As a player, as a piano player, she's elite, 10 out of 10. So she makes interesting music, and she is able to describe a situation that you have no connection with in a way that you feel it, right? And I think that's why, like, a lot of my favorite songwriters are kind of women, because they can tap into emotions that, like, a lot of guys maybe have a harder time doing. And I think she is the perfect example of just everything that makes a songwriter great, like from an artistic, lyricist, poetic, instrumental thing. Everything is a 10
So
out
to
of
me,
10.
I guess what we're getting down to is a point of semantics. When I think of what I think you're explaining to me is like your opinion of the best and your favorite, but to me, greatness always implies like the cultural impact. That's why Jimi Hendrix was the greatest guitar player. He wasn't the best guitar player that's ever lived. He isn't even my favorite guitar player that's ever lived, but he's the greatest because there's music, there's guitar before him, and then everyone else. He had the most impact, direct impact on the future. Okay. So that's why I say like it's Lennon and McCartney. If you're not cheating putting them together, like that songwriting duo is the greatest songwriting duo in modern history by a long shot. Maybe not the best, maybe the best. But I just think they had so much cultural impact, and that's the kind of thing that to me greatness implies. It's not like you were just the best, but you were the greatest, and greatness implies you had a huge impact on the landscape. And I don't know that Fiona Apple, you can say that she had it.
You know, I hear what you're saying, for sure. Yeah, thing. You know, for me, cultural impact isn't as important as artistic impact, I guess. You know, because then it just brings in like a whole pop thing.
But now you're just like favorite versus best.
Yeah, like is Justin Bieber the greatest singer of his generation then?
I think there's there's a discussion.
But you could make an argument of that for sure. You know, and again, who am I to say what is and what isn't? But
Michael Jackson was the greatest pop star.
Sure, yeah, and I don't agree. I don't even necessarily.
Not my favorite.
I don't even necessarily love a lot of his music, but I can't argue that.
That's greatness. I wonder. Do you think anyone right now will be regarded with that same, they were like a
legend icon great, status,
and the people will look back in 30 years and be like, that guy was truly great.
I mean, it's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Taylor Swift.
Like she'll be the one. You know,
I kind
John
of thought
Mayer
Bruno
is
Mars was like. Part of me was like Bruno Mars has all those categories: a songwriter, great singer, great dancer.
Yeah.
But I think what would make people might not look back at him in the same way is like a lot of his stuff is very derivative of other forms.
Sure.
Like it's basically he did the Prince thing and then he did like the soul funk thing, and it wasn't like if somebody were like trying to emulate Bruno Mars, you wouldn't say, oh, this is just guys trying to be like Bruno Mars. You'd be like, oh, he's trying to do Michael Jackson, he's trying to do Prince, or he's trying to do Sly and the Family Stone. So he's really, really good at what he does, but I don't think he has that unique artistic thing that.
Yeah, where like The Weeknd kind of came along and just took everything he was doing and then just like ran with it.
Yeah, and The Weeknd, it's like if you heard. Okay, if you were like in a music class or someone just showed you no idea what music was, and someone just started playing you songs, and you played a Bruno Mars song, you might play some in this category from the 70s, but if you played a Weeknd song, you're like, oh, that's different than all this other stuff. And anything that sounds like him is just people trying to sound like him. It wasn't him trying to sound like other people, I think.
Yeah.
Like he was a uniqueness, and I think that ties into greatness too, in the way that like the Beatles were extremely unique.
Sure.
They paved the way. So I'm wondering who could that be like from now?
Probably Fresh D from the chat earlier.
Probably Fresh D.
I think we'll be speaking of him in these terms later in life.
No, if he's as scared as his talent is.
It will be interesting to see what music lasts, you know?
Well, it's also, okay, well, who was great from the 2000s? Because we remember that. Like
sure.
The early 2000s.
That's why I'm a little, like, in the moment, I was like, well, Soundgarden is clearly superior to Nirvana, you know? But now it's like, people know who Nirvana is.
Yeah, that's
and Soundgarden is, I don't want to say they're forgotten, but I feel like the Zoomers don't know who Soundgarden is.
Who's sang for Soundgarden?
Chris Cornell.
Yeah, of course. I was going to say that, but... So I'm not the biggest fan of that style of music, but... I think the fact that Nirvana they ended abruptly like that, at maybe the height of what they did, and kind of the same way the Beatles did. Like
it helps them culturally.
Yeah, it helps them culturally. Where a Soundgarden, like, it was long after that Chris Cornell.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. 2000s. early 2000s.
I mean, Radiohead.
Yeah, I'm not even a Radiohead fan, and I would say
I'm
not a hater, but yeah, Radiohead will be one that has stood the test of time.
I think globally Muse.
You know who I would say we might look back on?
Yeah?
It's a hot take.
Here we go.
Mumford and Sons.
Oh my God, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, dude.
I don't think we'll look back on them.
Come on.
They had a massive cultural impact. Everyone they ushered in a style.
No, they didn't. What, stomps and claps?
Yeah, the stomp clap.
That was the first thing? Oh my gosh.
The kick clap thing with the banjo.
This is how you
Everybody started to try to sound like that. I'm not saying I necessarily love them. I'm not saying it's necessarily a good thing. I actually did like some of the earlier stuff, but that's not the point I'm trying to make here. It's the fact that they ushered in a new style. Maybe they were being very derivative of someone else, but they were the first ones to bring stomp clap hays. That's their style, stomp clap hey. They brought stomp clap hey to the mainstream. Everyone started to try to sound like them. So I think as far as greatness goes, the cultural impact thing, they had a large cultural impact. Whether or not you hate them or not.
This is why my definition of greatness is the real one and not yours, because of the Mumford and Sons corollary.
Do you don't like Mumford and Sons?
No, I don't like Mumford and Sons.
And is that because like a lot of everyone just started to sound like them, and like the derivatives were like pretty bad?
I just think they're just bad.
Like, what does that mean though? Like,
the guy sings, guys
have a lot of character.
It's like Imagine Dragons Unplugged.
Okay, yeah. See, I can't stand Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, right. So if you just unplugged Imagine Dragons, you'd kind of have Mumford Sons, right?
No, not really. I mean, but Imagine. Did everyone try to sound like Imagine Dragons after them? Like, do they have a unique? Like, I think I could hear the beginning.
Oh, for sure.
I can hear the beginning of a Mumford and Sons song, and say either this is someone trying to do Mumford and Sons or this is them.
If that's the definition of greatness, like, check me out, dude. Like, I don't know.
Well, that's part of the definition. I think greatness is multiple aspects, and that's part of it. If I hear the beginning of an Imagine Dragons songs, I'm like, this could be any other freaking Walmart rock band.
People have been stomping and clapping since the dawn of time. Just because Mumford and Sons made it trendy.
Yeah, but then you could say that people are playing the blues forever, and then the Rolling Stones made it trendy. But is there not greatness because the guys?
You know what's funny? It's like people in Silver Lake are kind of dressing like Mumford and Sons now.
Oh, it's come back.
Yeah, so it's kind of like maybe you're actually right. Like they look like mine workers, and they have like
the
twisted
mine
mustache. Yeah, man.
And like a long beard.
I feel like you might have just convinced me of something that I was trying to fight.
But you're becoming a Mumford and Sons fan?
No, I'm not. No,
you're starting a Mumford and Sons cover band.
That's why I don't live in Silver Lake.
You're moving to Silver Lake.
This is why
you're moving out of LA.
Well, Silver Lake is LA still, but that's why I'm a little Highland Park.
Winnipeg, Manitoba. Music Life with Arthur Gonzalez. He gave us a super chat, and he just says, because I want to help keep the rocking and rolling, yo. So
nice.
we're rocking, we're rolling. Let's do a quick little check here to see if there's anything we want to get into. But besides that, we're gonna start wrapping it up.
Yeah, you know when the greatness of Mumford and Sons is being discussed, we're getting close to the end of the live stream.
They're an important band, like whether or not you like it. And this is what I say when people are like, I don't like the Beatles. It's like, yeah, it's not necessarily always about liking them. I don't like Nirvana a whole lot, but I acknowledge that they were a very important, great band.
Isn't Mumford and Sons just kind of like a little more sober Dropkick Murphys? Right?
It's in the realm, I'm sure.
Like a hungover Dropkick Murphys.
With banjo?
Yeah.
It's hipster. It's sober Dropkick Murphys with banjo.
Yeah, right?
But you asked me, like, I know one Dropkick Murphys song. Do you know a lot of them?
I mean, there's only one Dropkick Murphys song. They just changed the lyrics. Isn't that kind of it? This should be it. Me just hating on popular music. That's a great live stream idea.
Phoebe Bridger people might talk about her for years to come.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No?
No, I don't think so. I mean, as much as I would love that to be the case, Punisher's kind of a masterpiece, but that's, that's like the main thing.
Someone asked us, how is this a helpline anymore? It currently is not.
Where are the questions?
We've gotten very distracted.
Where are the questions, guys?
But that's
Where's
the help?
Yeah, come on.
Is you can tangent it.
Where's the people that need help?
Okay, we'll do one more. Somebody check up a good question here, and we're gonna wrap this up.
People are gonna need some help after that Mumford and Sons side quest we just went on.
I actually think I had one.
Major 7 arpeggios help everybody.
All right. here's our last question of the day.
This is it.
This is our last self-help one. This guy goes, hello, I'm 14. I've been getting taught guitar for 4 years now. I'm planning to go to London where when I leave school. Would you recommend going to college? I'd like to perform music when I'm older. Any tips? By the way, love your content. You're a big inspiration. Thank you, sir. And that comes from Jude Smith, the boy.
Nice.
Would I recommend going to music college? And now we're going to remember we're also talking to a 14-year-old.
Okay.
What do you think?
He's going to London?
I think he wants to.
For music college?
Well, he's 14, so he hasn't, like, it's not set in stone. Like, he's still got, like, 3 years, I think. As of now, he's planning to go to London when he leaves school, and he doesn't know if he's going to college for music or what to do.
I would say if you can take a gap year, I think that's the most important thing people can do. I wish I had that opportunity instead of just going to high school to college, because college was just more high school for me. I didn't go to music school. By the way.
Taking a gap year is amazing. I didn't take a gap year, but I did a year of business courses and hated it, and then took the 2-year gap year to figure it out. So I actually think, just like jumping into college is not a good thing. And I know a lot of people who went into university and then changed paths. Like a lot of my friends ended up changing their direction. Mm-hmm. And had they just taken that time to figure that out versus feeling like they needed to go there, just working a job, traveling, not being in school, it would have been very beneficial for them. So yeah, a gap year I think would be amazing. I really recommend the gap year.
He's 14, you said?
Yeah, 14. But I think maybe the question was more like, should he go to music school?
No. Well, maybe. Here's the thing. You're 14. You got time. What's stopping you from going to music school right now?
That's expensive, so you would say.
No, but you can take your class, take your course, make your own music school, right? Then what are
I see what you mean.
From the content of what you're going to learn in music school, the content, you can start right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can start on YouTube. You can start on his courses. You can start on whatever. There's so many things that you can do to get that content of information. The value in music school is the connections, right? So you can make those same connections in London in a gap year, try it out. But I would say don't jump blindly into music school thinking like, oh, I want to be a musician, this is it.
I think the dropout rate is got to be higher than anything else. Like I know when I started college, man, the dropout rate to the people who graduated must have been like maybe 25% of people who started actually graduated. Mm-hmm. It was quite low. Like a lot of people didn't make it. They didn't make it.
Yeah, and if you're passionate about it, you can learn, like, get yourself musically literate as much as you can right now, because it gives you such a leg up.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you do choose to go to music school, after maybe taking some time and getting to know what, like, the professional, paths and avenues are, then you already have a leg up.
I would say, so I went to music school, and I would say that it was worthwhile to, out of the people who graduated, maybe like 5 out of the people. So I think I started, there was like hundreds of people. And I would say how many people ended up having like jobs because of music school? 5 out of 400 or something. So it's a very low success rate. Whereas if you go to school to become a doctor, it's got to be like close to 100% of people who are going to end up being doctors.
Right.
So my experience with it was I was now in a place where for 4 to 5 years I could only focus on music basically, and that was like invaluable to me. My whole life for 5 years was get as good at music as I can possibly get. If I wasn't in music school, I don't think I would have had that opportunity to do that, and it made me the musician I am now, and I fully embrace the whole thing, and being around musicians who are so much better than me, like my teachers, and being able to play with them, that elevated me to a new level. Learning all the stuff that I learned there, I could have learned it online probably, but...
Do you feel the resources were as readily available then?
No.
Okay.
No, it was more available now. It was expensive to do the whole thing. Not as expensive in Canada as it is in the US, I don't think. But so I didn't put myself into like financial ruin doing it. But I was also like, I had been out of high school for 4 years, and I was sure that's what I wanted. I really had researched it to make sure that I wasn't just going to go and realize, oh, this isn't for me. Like I wanted it pretty bad. And most people I went to school with, like I was older than a lot of people, and most of the people, they had come out of high school and they were just doing it because they had nothing else to do. And I think that's a really not a good thing to do, and they ended up mostly dropping out. But I would say like the stuff I learned there is why I'm able to do what I do now. I can't do what I do today without going to music school. But the degree that's sitting out there, I got 2 degrees there, they have never got me a job. Those alone have never directly paid off in like any way. But it was the knowledge and the experience and being around other musicians, and then actually like meeting successful musicians and guys who went on to have success. That was very inspiring, and getting out of my hometown and just like seeing real success made it feel like it was possible. It wasn't just a pipe dream. And so that was what I got out of music school. And the network was pretty helpful. And actually, yeah, it wasn't, I didn't stay where I went to school, which if I stayed there, it would have been way more useful to have all those connections. But yeah, there's some like still guys who I talk to every now and then, and like especially the guys who have gone on to do like cool things with music. We stay in touch, and when they come to town, like one of my buddies from music school came to town with like a very successful pop singer-songwriter guy, and then I got to know him through my buddy, and now he's like a friend, and that's a good connection to have. Whether that leads it to anything or not, it's a good connection. So
it's awesome.
Gets you connections, gets you information, doesn't get you a job. So take from that what you will.
Here we go.
We got one more super chat, and he just says, "Great stream, guys." He put his question on the forum, so we're gonna do this one before we wrap it up. This is Kermit Plays Bass. I need to find him. How do I find him?
Forms.
Oh, here we go. Man, how do I do this? Summary.
Can we just take a moment to talk about how good this like setup looks right here?
It took a while.
He's using his like real camera, the real light, best looking live stream on the internet right now.
4, 5.
Also the handsome level of the co-host.
11.
Deals
He's
with that.
number 11, so I gotta find 11 here.
Cool.
What just happened?
Another shout out to Sweetwater for being the sponsor. Remember, guys, you can click through his affiliate link, and anything you order, whether it's just some fire strings or whatever, fire strings, he gets credit for it, and that stuff actually goes a long way. So
yeah, so we're gonna do one more unless anyone sneaks in with last minute super chats. But here's the last question of the day. Hey, big fan of your content. Thank you, sir. I'm currently in a band where we've been recording songs / playing live here and there. Though we're all pretty musically skilled, none of us have any experience in the industry, and we're not sure how to get our music out on Spotify, etc.
Okay.
Also, we need a name. Okay, I'll take the name one.
Great. Sure.
So for names, it's hard to do because like a lot of names are out there, and if you pick a name that's gonna be used, you're gonna have a hard time getting like the URL or the handles anywhere. So one of the things I would do with names for bands is I would either use things from other languages and then like anglicize them. Like I would just look up, I want to name my band, I don't know, what's a good band name? The Red Lion. Okay, so there's probably a band or something called The Red Lion. You're never going to get theredlion.com.
Yeah.
So I might just put that into like, how do Germans say Red Lion? And then I would like maybe take a play on that, or how did the Japanese people say Red Lion or something like that, and then just anglicize that or whatever, and then you kind of have something that might work. Or just like take something that just sounds cool. That would be a place to get a name. How do you get your music out there?
So like as far as like literally how to do it, DistroKid is by far the best way. Do you have an affiliate link for that too?
No. Do you have an affiliate link?
I do. I'll pitch it, but also it saves you money too. If you go to my channel, there's a link in a video called "The Secret to Developing Style on Guitar." Because I work with DistroKid a lot, but like even if I didn't, again, feel free to use my link if you want. It'll save money. Don't feel like you have to, because it's not like this isn't like an ad read or anything. But DistroKid is the best way to do it because you can do it from your phone. There's like an app. You just upload a WAV file. It's got to be a WAV file, and you have to have artwork to go with it. But the great thing about now is you can just go to Midjourney or some kind of AI and just make cool artwork pretty easily. So the artwork is not as much of a hurdle as it used to be. And then you just get your track, upload it, check all the stores that you wanted to do it. It's like super. I think it's like $20, $25 like for an entire
use DistroKid,
year, for unlimited tracks. So use DistroKid, and then it'll push it out to all the platforms.
How do you get people listening now? That's the challenge.
So it's going to give you a hyperfollow link, and you have to have all your friends and family start with all of them to follow that hyperlink, because you really got to juice it early. Because
that can trigger it to
because it's an algorithm just like anything else, right? So you got to release music, you got to kind of like just get it out there slowly but surely, and then you really got to self-promote. That's the hardest thing for a lot of people, especially like musicians kind of want to just do the art and just like have it speak for itself. But this is 2023; it doesn't work like that anymore. So get those little hyperlinks, and then just start being like, please help me out. If you're a fan of the music, this is the way to help support what we're doing. and then just, have that hyperlink saved in your notes. And every time you meet somebody that might be interested, hit them with it, because that's kind of how you build a following now.
I've been thinking about this a lot because I got some original music that I've been working on for like 2 years that we're getting to the point where this is like nearly a finished product. I'm like, okay, how do I actually get people to listen to this thing? And I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't have the answer. What I think I'll do is like I'll just every now and then treat it like a sponsored spot in videos and be like, hey, thanks for watching. The ad today is for my own music. You can go check it out. But if you don't have a built-in following, it's a bit harder to do. So I've been thinking of ways of like I might be able to use other platforms to do it. So like on TikTok.
Yeah.
If you can come up with like an idea that people might then share, like a thing that can get like recycled, maybe like use your song for that. Like if you were going to be like, hey everybody, use this audio and do whatever features you in this audio, like and your music is playing in the background or whatever, that can be a way to like reach people in a different way. I don't know, man. Everyone's trying to figure this out.
Yeah, it's
How
tough.
do you get people to listen to your art when there's so much art in the world?
Yeah, it's tough.
Trying to think about it from oblique and different ways, I think, is always what I'm trying to do, and I don't have the answers. I haven't figured it out. Check back in like a month or two to see how I've done. But
what you do have to do is you have to train your content mind into being a part of the process, because
and
that's
hustle it, like work on it. Like your full-time job is now sharing this stuff, and it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be discouraging, and part of it is just like keeping on doing it, keep learning from it, and instead of getting discouraged, like just keep on trying, and like I know when I first started doing YouTube, I wasn't necessarily getting tons of views, but I just kept at it, and if at first it doesn't work, try a different thing. How much success often in this industry is reserved for the people who are willing to keep pushing past the point where most people give up.
For sure.
And I've seen that happen a lot. Like I've seen people who you're like, they're done. There's no chance that they're having anything, but they're just so motivated that they get there and they keep on pushing past it. Most people have thrown it in the towel and said, I'm not having fun with this anymore, but they have that hunger and that drive, the eye of the tiger, that they keep on pushing towards that.
There's that famous story about Mumford & Sons being in that bar just discouraged because nobody was like listening to their music, and then the guy heard a stomp and a clap, and then all of a sudden it was like the apple falling on Edison's head. Or Newton's head.
Do you want to take us out with
one of them?
Do you want to take us out with a Mumford & Sons style jam?
Sure. What is it like? It's just like
maybe to the A minor.
G.
And it's like rock now, right now, and then it goes way down. He's got a great voice. You don't like his voice? Hey! Hey!
There we go.
Thank you guys all for watching. Check out Sean over at Sean Daniel,
whatever.
YouTube.com/Sean Daniel 23 or something.
I'm around.
If you want to find him, just put Sean Daniel on YouTube.
Just feel for me and I'll appear. That's it.
I'm Samurai Guitarist. You have like a very specific intro. I always do, and now I'm like, I can't really. Well, no, I'm like, if you want to watch the video up here, hit the subscribe button. We're not doing that. So look after yourselves, look after each other, look after the planet. I'm Samurai Guitarist. This is Sean Daniel, and we will see you again soon. And let's